Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here, coming at you with another edition of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is episode number 7, and we are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Gaijin Hunter. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. 7th episode already. Time flies.
Yeah. Time does fly indeed when you're having fun. And fun is what we've been having with this podcast. At least it definitely feels like that every single Tuesday night. It's fantastic. Just come in here, record, and talk a bunch about Monster Hunter. It's just
everyone can witness me destroy your sleep schedule because of time zones.
Yeah, time zones are indeed a thing. But have you been playing anything this week besides Monster Hunter Rise at all?
Actually, I have been playing quite a bit of Minecraft. It's one of those things that me and Yuna, my daughter, have. And some people don't realize I have a daughter because they don't follow me. But I do have. I'm a single father. I have a daughter, Yuna. She's turning 12 in March, and we are best friends, and we play games all the time together. So we've been going back and playing Minecraft and goofing around because I got her the Xbox Series S, I got the Series X, and they just run really well together. So we've been having fun creating a new world and, just chilling out. Like I'm just fishing up stuff and making enchanted tools for her so she can kick ass because she's much better at fighting in the game than I am. We can start like a new game and within like 2 hours, she's like, oh, I just killed the end dragon. I'm back. I'm like, what the hell?
The end dragon, like the final one, like in the nether.
Yeah, that he flies around. Yeah. She's like crazy.
But she's probably killing him with like the bed trick, isn't she?
The witch trick?
The bed trick, where they like if you put a bed down in there, it explodes or something.
Oh yeah. She uses that as well. Yeah, and she knows all the tricks.
Yeah,
it's hilarious. And me, I'm just in there fishing and going, I want to get myself a nice fishing rod. I'm a really good miner though. The other day we came back with I think 36 diamonds. So we had a pretty good haul.
Damn.
Yeah. I guess
I guess the grind is like in your blood, pretty much. Like
I know, isn't it? It's so funny.
Grind for monsters, grind for materials, grind for
diamonds.
Like I'm the same way. Like I'll grind on something until the cows come home, but lately, I actually haven't. Oh, well, no, wait. I did play something briefly. I bought this little game, my cell phone. Not sure if you heard of it. And people that are listening to this that know me, they'll be like, "You bought it? What, a mobile? What?" Yes, I bought Monster Hunter Stories.
Nice. Did you play it on the 3DS or no?
Yeah, I played a little bit on the 3DS, so I already knew that I like the game, so I already know I like the game. And I played it on phone, and it's like, well, guess what? I still like the game. I hate playing it on phone. I'm not a huge fan of playing it on the 3DS because small-ass screen, and I'm home. It's like, it would be great if I was like traveling, then I'd play the crap out of it on 3DS. But like if I'm home, I always have a hard time like actually playing small screen when you have a big screen in front of you, right? And so I was thinking,
did you think to just output it to the TV or whatever? Or the monitor?
Yeah, I did. I did that with the phone. Like that was my thing, dude. I'll totally just output this onto the TV and it works. It works great. Like I'll output it to the TV, big screen, fantastic. Visuals don't look as pretty as they do on the phone, obviously, because it's stretching it out, right? But luckily it's a really good art style, so it kind of makes up for it. But ultimately, I can't do touch controls. I can't do it, and the game does not actually support gamepad at all. And I was like, oh no, rip. That killed it. That pretty much killed it for me. Cause like, even just like riding the monster, like, you know how there's stuff in the ground that you can pick up with the touch screen. I wouldn't be able to like pick up things with enough accuracy. Like I would constantly run past it. And then I try to come back and then run past it again. No. And I was like, dude, I love the game. I love the gameplay. I love the combat. I love everything about it. But like, I can't do touch controls. So it's like, listen, Capcom, you got to fix your stuff out, figure it out, and put this on Switch. Look, it's simple. Just put it on Switch. Just put it on the Switch ahead of Monster Hunter Stories 2 so that I can play both of them. Because I want to play it, but I'm not going to go back to playing it on 3DS, and I'm not going to play it on my phone, particularly with
that's unfortunate.
The inaccuracies of like touch controls. I hate touch controls. I just it's just the thing.
I will say though that for those listening, if you are okay with touch controls, the implementation is actually very good, and the port is fantastic. It's just a question of whether or not you want to play with touch or not, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like the visuals look beautiful. That art style looks amazing. Which actually got me to think, it does. And it actually got me to think about something which is actually going to be the first topic of today's podcast. And that is going to be talking about Monster Hunter Rise's visuals.
Visuals.
The visuals. So this is something that I've noticed even recently, because like Eric's did like his discussion review. And I know that he and the team touched up on visuals, like, you know, some of them had something to say about the visuals that maybe wasn't like the most flattering, but I don't think it was like super exaggerated. And like, you know, following Eric's for a while and his crew, like I know that they play a crap ton of Monster Hunter games. So, but a lot of people thought that they had gotten started with World, and apparently there was a lot of negative comments and whatnot, to the point they even make like a follow-up 40-minute video just talking about visuals, and nothing else. And I was like, Jesus Christ. So
people be crazy, man.
Yeah.
You say graphics and people are like, what did you say?
Yeah,
it's like bringing out the druggies or something. It's like, what'd you say, man?
It's like, here's the thing. Here's where I kind of like stand on this, and I want to hear from you. But here's where I like stand on this. It's like, does Monster Hunter Rise have the best visuals you can possibly imagine? No. Especially if you're coming over from World. World is like, you know, a lot more detailed. You get even a little bit maybe better frame rate, particularly with like the next generation of consoles, if you have those, which I know that the PlayStation 5 hasn't officially launched in Japan.
I mean, we'll have to work on some definitions in this topic, but if we're talking just visual fidelity, resolution, detail,
just visual
like
fidelity,
I would say it better. I mean, the fact that if you took the Switch, you take off the Joy-Cons, the Switch is probably 1/100th of the size. You might fit 100 or 50 or something inside. Like, if it's in my pocket, you think that thing is going to be pushing anywhere close to the fidelity that those machines could? Like, give me a break.
Of course, it's not going to. It's not going to. So then the thing is, but does it look good? And it's like, in terms of a Switch game, I think it looks freaking fantastic. Particularly,
it's one of the best looking Switch games out there. I mean,
exactly.
I can't believe the Switch can even do this amount of fidelity. It looks amazing.
Like I still remember that night that we were experimenting with the demo, and we were both like climbing up to the highest point in Shrine Ruins.
Oh yeah.
And then we were just like, wait, you can see the monsters from here. You could literally see like every monster in the map from that one point, regardless of where they were in the map, which means like draw distance for monsters is like friggin' insane. Is like completely ridiculous. Like you'll just see tiny pixels moving around because, you know, at that distance, they're just like a tiny pixel, but you can see the monsters in the distance. And I thought that was pretty impressive. So it's I think
let's face it, if like stuff like pop in or anything, if little things that break the seam and let you remind you that you're playing a video game, if that bothers you, you probably don't have a Switch anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably have a high-end PC that can stream assets fast. I will say though that every game has to load in textures, of course, but the way they do it in the game is a technical achievement, I think. They do it in such a way in which always the most important things that you're looking for, no matter how far away you are, they're visible. And so anything that does get loaded in while you're, you know, like a streamed asset is usually just visual fluff, whether it's like some shrubs on the ground or something like that. Like nothing impairs the gameplay. I've never felt like some important piece of information or focal point was never in focus in that game. They loaded in really well.
Yeah. I think that they do a good job in terms of like the technical aspect of it. But the thing to me when it comes to visuals is this is one thing that I always tell people. The most important thing to me is always animations. Because like you can have the best fidelity in the world. If your game doesn't animate well, like a good example, for instance, was like, you know, those cutscenes that everybody made memes of for Mass Effect Andromeda? It's like, my face is tired.
Oh, yeah.
So like people made all kinds of memes. So it's like that game didn't look bad, like visually speaking, the game looked amazing. But like the animations on some of those cutscenes were atrocious. So there you go. There is a big problem there. Whereas it's like when you're talking about animations from the Monster Hunter team, like just the little details that they tend to put into everything that they do in the game is amazing. Like the thing about the hunting horn, how he like does the attack and he plunges the one of its silkbind attacks where he just kind of like puts a spike on the monster, then spins around and strums the guitar and then makes it explode. Like all of the little details in there are really well made. The details of monster
they always
animation.
are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say they're always top tier no matter what the game. So I mean, there's no comparing. They're just all amazing.
Yeah,
Like you're saying, it's not just animation; it's the technical part. The animation, it's the blending of them is done so well. Like everything feels really natural, looks really good, feels empowering, looks stylish.
it just kind of flows naturally from one thing to another, which is to me one of the most important things about visual. So it's like I think it looks really good for a Switch game. I don't think it's going to look as good as a PS4 game, which I'm not sure if that's what people were expecting. But at the same time, I would like to pose a scenario, which was actually something that, you know, how you yourself you've talked about before Rise was announced, right? You were talking about they got to be working on a Switch game. They got to be working on. We all want a Switch game, and like I was saying, kind of like the same thing. Like I also want a Switch game because you know I want to have something on the go for Monster Hunter because it's always had a strong portable presence. And I've said that for a long time. And back when I was just thinking about what Rise could potentially be, the thing that came to mind was actually the art style of Monster Hunter Generations. And playing Monster Hunter Generations recently on my phone made me remember that I used to think like, you know, that's what they're probably going to do for the Switch. They're going to grab the art style. Wait, did I say Generations? I meant Stories. I meant Stories. Okay. I was like, they're going to grab the art style of Stories, which was what they did on the 3DS, and they're probably going to put that art style on the Switch, and you're going to have like all of the monsters, all of the gameplay, but in that separate art style. Now, what do you think about that?
I never would have thought that they would do that for some reason. That never crossed my mind. That's like asking me to mix soy sauce with mustard, or that probably actually tastes good. I wouldn't know, but it feels like because that art style works really good for narrative RPG, but like we're talking about these animations, like would it look or feel right with the current animation sets and everything that they're doing? I don't know. Like I can't imagine what that looks like.
Have you ever played like, for instance, Dragon Ball Fighters? Have you ever seen Dragon Ball Fighters?
I mean, I've seen like those like anime cell shaded like fighting games before.
Exactly. Like Guilty
or
Gear,
something
for
like
instance.
Gravity Days or something, right? Something that feels very
Gravity
anime
Rush?
cell shaded.
Oh yeah, in Japanese they call it Gravity Days. You're right. In Japan I think they call it something Days, but in the West we call it Gravity Rush.
Okay.
Gravity Rush, not as much, because Gravity Rush it does have a bit of cell shading, but not like in the same style. I was thinking more actual like Dragon Ball Fighters is like one of the best examples. But basically just because like you can have like the animations that you have in World in that style. It's just you've seen that style in Stories and you're thinking about the animations that they do in Stories, which are a little bit more limited. Yeah. But it's like, I think you can get that art style to animate in a way that feels familiar to Monster Hunter. It's just a matter of like, it wouldn't be so chibi, right? As it is in Stories. It would be a little bit more adult, but it would still be the cell shaded. Like think, for instance, Breath of the Wild. Did you play Breath of the Wild?
Oh yeah, I love that.
So think Breath of the Wild, but Monster Hunter.
This is all hypotheticals. I love the art style. I love that. And I think Stories 2 looks phenomenal.
Exactly.
But like, I actually think if you were on a platter, if you were to give me the choice, I like what we have now. I actually like this art style.
You would prefer this one.
Yeah.
Because like, I was thinking, I think I would have preferred the other one just to see just to see what it would be like, because it just looks very appealing to me. That's an art style that I've always enjoyed, like the that kind of like cell shaded look. I'm not saying that I enjoy it more than a different art style or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it would be a little bit more colorful even than what we have right now, which is kind of like what I remember from the older Monster Hunter games. They still feel more comfortable, more not comfortable, more colorful than what we have now in Rise. Like you look at Generations Ultimate, for instance, and the set that I'm wearing, it's got like the pirate outfit, which has got like a really deep, strong red. And it's like I don't see strong reds, for instance, in what we're looking at right now, So it's kind of like I miss the more colorful vibe of the older games. And I was thinking that with this art style, I think it would look amazing. But,
but that's also another topic as well. Like there's also people who feel that this game's not very colorful or very vibrant. And I think there's a few reasons for that. I think one is flat out, of course, it's not as color and vibrant. I think that's a truth. It's a stylistic choice that they've done. I also think though that it is more colorful and vibrant than what I remember from World and Iceborne. Then again, we've been staring at the old Shrines map for like ever now, right? And we're seeing all this demo footage, and that is the most of all the things they've shown us. That's the most dull color palette that we've seen in the game.
Yeah. You look at the Hunting Horn set, for instance, is full gray. The only real colorful set is probably like Longsword.
Well, the bow is really colorful as well.
Yeah, the bow is colorful as well. Yeah, but like the Longsword is the one that. Yeah,
I was just thinking like the old Shrines map also loves to go into night mode, and that is not a very fun way to show off the colorfulness of the game. Is the old Shrines at night? It feels great when you play it.
It defaults to night when you're fighting Mizu. Like it always starts at night and then goes into day.
Yeah.
And if you do the other one, it's the other way around. It starts in day and goes into night. But
then I'm looking at stuff like the snow map or whatever. To me, I know it's white, so it's brighter, but it feels more colorful and vibrant. Yeah. Tigrex looks great. So I think, and then of course the main town is just like busting with color and life and vibrancy. So I think, to me, overall, my impression so far of the game and what we've seen is that it's a more colorful version of what we had in World and Iceborne, which is exactly what I wanted. And I think with Stories 2 coming out, I can see why they might want to have two different art styles and differentiate between them.
That was the other thing that I was actually discussing this on stream earlier today, but it's like that was the other thing where I was thinking after a while it started clicking for me. Wait, they might not want to mesh those art styles to differentiate the products, right? So that people know, when I'm looking at this art style, this is Stories. And when I'm looking at this art style, this is regular Monster Hunter.
So this might be an interesting topic because the viewpoint here is very different between Japan and the West. But that art style is very much visually geared towards younger players for like Stories and the cell shading. Here in Japan, the perception is that is for kids.
Oh, yes.
Where this is for where the art style they're using now is for teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know that roasts people wrong when they're like, it's for adults. I'm like, no, this game is actually targeted to like 12 to 16-year-olds. It's like the number one demographic here.
But it's like, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so I'm just thinking like having a game like this, like Monster Hunter Rise, which is not targeted for smaller kids in that art style, I think would be a mismatch, actually.
It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I personally really like that art style that I kind of like, man, it would be so good if it would be in this art style, but a regular Monster Hunter game. I think that would be fantastic. But like, again, it does mix the identities of both products, so I can see like why they wouldn't do it. But like in the topic of in the West, it's kind of like the same thing. Most people do look at that type of visual style and it's more, this is more for kids. Well, although it is something that I personally look at and I'm like, I no longer look at it like that. I'm just like, does it look good? Does it play nice? I don't give a crap. I'll be a kid right now.
Yeah. The other thing about this topic, though, that I think I want a side note, and it's another reason why I don't discuss it a lot, is because I think people start to misinterpret it, where it's like talking about, okay, what if it was in Switch graphics? To some people sounds like, oh, so what they're doing now doesn't work, or it's not very good because the Switch is not as powerful, it would have been better if we had this art style. And I don't think that's it at all. It's just a discussion about, art direction, right? Like, which do you prefer? I think the Switch does what it's doing now very well. It looks fantastic. There's nothing in there. I don't look at it and go like, yeah, but what if they chose another art style? Maybe that would look better. Like, I never thought that ever. So maybe you have. I certainly haven't.
I thought about it just because I like the story's art style. That's it. So that's why I was like, man, this art style looks so good. I'm very curious to see what a traditional Monster Hunter game would look in this art style. Like, I'm very into, like, particularly if you look at like the footage in the trailer for Stories 2, and you see like adult Rathalos and like other monsters.
Oh yeah.
Depicted in that art style, like, oh man, just think of what the armor would look like. You see like a Zenogre armor in there as well in that trailer. And
that's why we have Stories 2.
Exactly. I mean, I guess I just hope that they release Stories 1 for the Switch ahead of Stories 2, but I know it's probably not going to happen, which makes me super sad.
Stories 1 was so much fun. Stories 2, I'm just paranoid that it's going to come out too early. Only for the fact is we're going to be eating Rise so hardcore. I don't want to battle and juggle my time between those two. Stories 2, I think, is going to be... Stories 1 is one of my favorite RPGs of all time. It's really well done. So having Stories 2 come out, I want to give everything into that game.
God damn it. It makes me want to play Stories so much, but I can't deal with the touchscreen controls, dude. I'm just like, oh, I want to play it so hard, but at the same time, it's like, I know that I get the, like, I actually, my hands started hurting from holding my phone to try and play it.
Oh no.
So yeah, it's like, I already wear, you guys can't see on the audio version, but like I already wear like this wristband because like my right wrist is completely destroyed from too much gaming to begin with. So.
But it's such a loaded topic though, and I think it's really weird that people can't understand that when you say visuals, it's a whole category of things, right? You can have, like you're saying, there's visual fidelity, which is just flat out resolution, and quality of texture, how anti-aliasing is implemented or not implemented in the case of Switch.
Well,
which can be a plus or it could be a minus, depends on the game.
Depends. Well, I guess it's probably not anti-aliasing, but like one of the things that I will say is that the game looks way better when it's in handheld mode. Like in handheld mode,
when it's on handheld, it looks magical.
It's oh my god, drop dead gorgeous. Like on the TV,
you could tell me that's a 4K image, and I'd be like, it is. It looks amazing.
on the TV, okay, you can see a couple of things here and there, like a couple of jaggies and whatnot, but it still looks really good as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So it's not really like a big thing that bothers me at all.
But the thing I'm digging and people don't seem to be discussing as much is art direction, like visual design, like throw away textures, throw away any of that stuff, and we're just talking about the direction art wise, like the world building, the general atmosphere, how things look and feel, like the feel of the world of Rise. I want to live in Kamura, like I'm in love.
It's got a lot of like obviously Eastern aesthetics and stuff like that, which it's almost in a way, it's almost like the portable third that a lot of people in the West never got to experience because we've seen Yakumo Village in generations, but it's not really the same thing. Is it? You're not really experiencing the same game. You're not experiencing the same, armor sets and stuff like that. So yeah, that is something that I'm also really, really excited about actually diving in because like right now I feel like I've played Shrine Ruins so much that I just feel like the whole game is Shrine Ruins. So I actually can't wait to actually make the game feel full again by having all of these other zones. Because like after you've played a demo for as long as we have, which I still don't know how many hours I've played by now, because last time I checked, you needed to have like 10
I'm
days
over 100 for sure.
But yeah, I would imagine that I'm over 100 as well on this demo alone. And it's like it's 100 hours in the same map,
and the same 5 monsters over. Yeah, and
the same 5 monsters over and over again, which is insane. But another thing that I find interesting about this topic, because whenever you talk about the visuals, there's always people that come in and say, "Dude, like, world sold 10 million copies, best-selling game. Why would they go back to Switch now, right? That's like one of the things that people always like to bring up. And it's interesting because today I was reading a couple of news articles. Guess which console sold the most in 2020?
Oh, Switch.
It was the Switch.
Yep.
I also read another article. I'm not sure how precise that is. You know what the percentage was of like console sales in Japan in terms of Switch?
I'm gonna guess that Switch has 90% almost, maybe 80.
That's
90.
pretty close. That was pretty close. 87%.
Yeah.
It's like when people say that like the Switch is not a successful console, like let me assure you, you're a minority, okay? Like I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Like this was the best-selling console of 2020 and it completely dominates Japan, and the Monster Hunter team is a Japanese team. So it's great that they've seen success. They've finally seen the success that this series deserves, like worldwide, but they also want to serve their home market, and the PlayStation is just not as big in Japan anymore, quite simply. Like,
well, I mean, I got sales figures in front of me because it's something I was very interested in.
Oh, really?
And again, so I have all the sales figures for every Monster Hunter game, both Eastern, Western. I went through all their press releases and I tracked down as accurate as data as I can find for all of them. And it's interesting because Monster Hunter World, it may be a little bit higher since I did this. It sold roughly, at the point when I did this, it was still at 15 million. I think it's at 20 now.
15 million? Wow.
But 15 million for World. So of that, 2 million was Japan and 13 million was overseas.
Yeah.
Then you look, so like 2 million is really good for the PlayStation 4 here in Japan. That's like the number 1 or number 2 best-selling PlayStation game here by far. You look at something like Monster Hunter Generations or 4, those sold over 4 million in Japan alone. So that's half the sales that they normally get for a baseline game here.
Yeah.
And you look at what was really interesting though is if you look at Iceborne, Japan is so used to buying the Master Rank, G Rank expansions, and they're so much more open to it that the ratio of people who bought World who also bought Iceborne is much higher in Japan than it was in the West. So like, for example, World was 2 million in Japan at this time that I did this data. It was 1.5 million sales for Iceborne. So you're talking 75% of people who had it. That's awesome. That's amazing. Where the West, it was 13 million base World, 3.2 million for Iceborne.
Damn.
Which is about 25%.
Why aren't more people playing Iceborne? What the hell? Like so my friend, listen. My friend Hengist is a part of this problem. He only played World. He never played Iceborne.
Oh my gosh, Iceborne was so good too.
Yeah, dude, Iceborne was amazing. Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if I ever told you this. I mean, most people that come to my channel, they already know. But like, Monster Hunter World and Iceborne are my favorite game of all times, bar none. Of all times.
Yeah.
Favorite game of all times. Like, despite any problems that I might have with some of the decisions that they've made in those games, it is still my favorite game of all times. I friggin' loved it. I don't know if Rise is going to top that. Like, that'll be hard. But, you know, I'm
what I'm excited for, though. Oh, man. No, what I'm excited for, though, is, like you were saying, like, the West had the World and Iceborne. I think Rise is going to do good in the West as well. But it's certainly going to go crazy in the domestic market here, which I think we need. I'm just looking at the generation. I split it up by generation. And like, you've got like first generation sales in Japan were only like 1.9 million copies of all the first gen games put together. It was like nothing.
How were they overseas? Do you have those numbers over there for the overseas on the overseas, first Monster Hunter?
I had 180K for first gen.
Oh my God.
So second gen was 3. And that's between 3 games, mind you.
Oh,
that's portable Monster Hunter Portable, Monster Hunter G. Then we have 3 games for second gen. In there we have Japan at 6.6 million, so it's gaining popularity. Overseas as well, actually, is 1.9 million. So second gen, obviously.
Which one was the portable in second gen? Is it
it's just Freedom and Freedom Unite.
Oh, it's
Freedom and Freedom Unite.
Freedom Unite is second gen?
Oh, sorry, not Freedom. The Western names are so weird. Monster Hunter Free. I don't. Oh God, Freedom was what they called Portable. Then Portable Second, was that even
Was Freedom
released? I don't even
Unite.
think that was released.
Portable Second was Freedom Unite.
Well,
There was
Portable Second G
I
is
think
Freedom
there was.
Unite.
Oh, Portable Second G is.
I don't
think
know
we got
if
that
the West
then.
even got Portable
Yeah.
Second, maybe.
Because I
That's the
think
one
we got
where
Freedom and
Tigrex
Freedom
was on the
Unite.
cover.
Yeah, because like I wasn't playing the games back then, but there was a friend of mine who was, and he would always tell me about Freedom and then Freedom Unite, and I think Freedom Unite was the G version, so we only had like 2.
Yeah.
How much did those sell overseas? Because those have to be like the first ones that were giving them signs that things were working overseas. Because I think those were selling PSPs like candy, right?
I can actually give you individual game data here. So first Monster Hunter Portable in the West was about 180K as far as I can tell. Monster Hunter Portable Second, I guess it was sold in the West. I just don't know the name. It was about 680K. And then Monster Hunter Portable Second G, which is Freedom Unite, sold 1.2 million.
In the West?
So that's when it's that's when
that's
it started
really
taking off.
like for
that's
that
lifetime,
time
though.
period. Oh, okay,
yeah.
it's lifetime. But still, for that time period, like if they were able to pull off like 1 million in those days, like it's like 1 million in those days was probably like 5 million now or something like that. I would imagine.
And there was like 4.2 million in Japan.
Because a lot less people used to game back then. You got to understand, like back then, gaming was almost like a taboo thing. Like, oh,
yeah,
you damn kids in your video games.
So I'll go from generation. I'll go back to games. That might be more interesting for listeners. So
yeah,
Monster Hunter Tri, which was like its return to console since PS2. Which, mind you, PS2 had not had a million sale. Monster Hunter DOS only sold for 700K. It did not hit 1 million in Japan. So the only time it ever hit 1 million was on portable machines. So Monster Hunter Tri, because it was such a big push, they did really good. They sold and the Wii was huge. So they sold 1.9 million.
Surprised.
In sorry, hang on. Let's see if I got this right. Yeah, so 1.9 million. So about 2 million copies in Japan, and 330,000 in the West. So not a whole lot. 3G is where things started taking off again. So
wait. I was confused. 3DS. I was confused. I thought you had said it was 1 million in the West. No, it was 300,000 in the West.
Yeah, 330,000 for Tri on the Wii.
Okay, that.
Then when Tri G came out, though, that's when it got really good in the West. That's when they started actually marketing the game in the West. So this is all Capcom marketing and sales, I think, result. But we got like 2.1 million in Japan for 3 Ultimate and 1.3 million in the West. It was the first time.
I just want to remind people of one little thing, which is we're talking about a Wii U game.
Oh no! Well,
no, it was also on 3DS. It was also on 3DS.
3DS.
I was probably the only person that played it on Wii U. I was one of the very few people that played it on Wii U.
The Wii U was only something like 200,000 copies or something like that. It didn't sell
so a lot. Sad. It's such a good console, dude.
Then you got Monster Hunter Portable Third, which is what we keep referring to as like the Asian aesthetic one with Yukumo Village.
It's the one
that never got released in the West, and 4.9 million copies in Japan on PSP.
Damn,
almost 5 million. It's still, to this day, it is the best-selling Monster Hunter game in Japan. Nothing has topped it by not even close.
Not even for you? Or actually just 4? Wow.
No, 4 was 4.1 million, where Portable Third was 4.9. So it's almost a whole million difference.
Dude, I was so happy.
Peak.
I remember when 4 launched, I remember that I used to tease my Pokemon friends like, you guys got the best, like one of the most money-making franchises in the world. And look at this game that's giving you a run for your money, this little tiny-ass Monster Hunter game.
I know, right?
Friggin' giving you Pokemon. Like, guys got your anime, you got like all of this nonsense, like this little Monster Hunter game giving you a run for your money.
Yeah.
Dude, 4 in my opinion at the time was potentially the best entry level of any Monster Hunter to date. It was so
I still think it's one of the best. I mean, it is. That had a really good onboarding process, both from story but also mechanics as well. I thought it was really well done.
And we only got 4U. We never got we never got 4 in the West. We just got 4U.
Yeah, so if you look at 4U or 4G here, It was sold like 1.6 million in the West, which is amazing.
Yep. And it's
If
like,
you
go ahead.
if you combine the totals for 4 and 4 Ultimate here in Japan, it's something like almost 7 million copies sold.
It's insane. But it's like the thing, now that we're talking about for you, the thing that I have to bring up, one of the things that I miss the most in Monster Hunter is traveling to different villages. Like that was such an experience. Dude, I could just talk about
call me crazy, but I think as you go into games with higher fidelity and more work that goes into creating stuff, you actually get limited, I think, in the amount of stuff that you can do with budget and time and everything. So it's like, I think because it was on 3DS was what allowed them to create so many villages, because I can't imagine there's the asset work that it would take to do that on a console game.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, we're going to craft an entire village that you don't even have to use. You'll go there once for the story and you can go back for side quests, but ultimately you can choose which village. It's like, I don't think they would choose that many villages, but it was such a good concept.
It was such that's the thing. It was totally just an event. It almost in a lot of ways it played like a traditional RPG, because like, okay, you've advanced the story, you've beaten the monsters that were here, and now we need to go to this other village. And I don't remember what the reasoning was, but there was always reasons behind it. And then you would get to meet like new characters. Like seriously, guys, if you have not played like For You, like you've missed out on one of the best Monster Hunter experiences you could have had. It's like I just and the thing is like how you get the ship, and then they change the ship, and then the ship can fly, and your room is the ship. So it's like that's why your room always looks the same everywhere you go, because you're actually in the ship. It's like, oh my god. And you had the dwarven village. There was a village that was basically like a dwarven village, and you met Little Miss Forge, which you can recruit. So here's a question:
what is your favorite of all the villages in For You? Which one did you like the most?
I mean, can't you tell already? It was obviously the dwarven village, dude. Is it called
Shields up, Armbreakers.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. Oh my god. Like that's the reason why whenever I'm playing GU, like my the what are they called? The bed? It's not bed. The person that manages your room. What do they call them?
The room service.
The room service. Okay, so my room service in GU, ever since I was able to unlock Little Miss Forge, has been Little Miss Forge. Just from all of the great memories that I have of For You, I'm just like, yep. I'm just every time I go to my room, there's Little Miss Forge, like doing all her things. It's like, oh. Friggin' hell.
You know me, I've got the little meowsters in there, so
yeah. Oh, dude,
for me, like, cat.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It had like the best mini game ever in a Monster Hunter game. The sending out the dudes, and you had the thing where you could fish up a Plesioth. Like it was so many crazy stuff that you could do in For You, dude.
Yeah, I would have to say, if I had to choose my favorite village, it's definitely Cathar, just called Shinato in Japanese, but that's the Wyverian village up in the mountains.
Oh, that's where the thing was.
Shigaru.
Yeah, Shigaru. Yeah, what was it called? Something the Wheel, the place where you fought Shigaru. I remember that's where you did some of your videos of weapon tutorials or something.
Oh yeah, that's where I did all my abuse of Nargacuga was there. So the sanctuary.
Oh man, yeah. Damn.
I'll quick wrap up the sales talk, because talking numbers on audio doesn't really work. So I'll give you the skinny here, which is first gen in Japan sold okay in Japan, but not huge. Second gen was better. Third gen was even better. Fourth gen was even better. I mean, fourth gen across 4 different games sold like 11 million copies in Japan and about 4.4 million in the West. Fifth gen, the West blew up, and like Western gamers came through and gave them the sales that they deserve. So you're looking at something like, it's at 20 million, where the last gen was like 16 million. And it's even higher now. It's like 24 million for this gen. So, but Japan is only like 3.5 million copies for this entire gen so far. So I think Rise is going to fill in the pie really nice. Yeah. I do hope it sells really well in the West, though. I think the game deserves good sales everywhere.
I hope so too, because like I always say, dude, I just want more Monster Hunter games. I want them to keep making.
I want to
Monster
see the
Hunter
prototype.
games.
I want to see the prototype they have on the 3DS for Rise. So I don't know if you caught this.
There's a prototype in 3DS.
So they had an interview with the director, and he was saying that they started work on Rise right after Generations Ultimate. Like at the same time work started on Monster Hunter World is when they started work on Monster Hunter Rise.
Wait.
They started
Generations Ultimate or Double Cross? Because
probably
Generations
Double
Ultimate
Cross in
never
Japan.
came out on.
Oh
on
yeah, so Double
3DS.
Cross.
Yeah, Double Cross.
Yeah. So when they started this was the same time that the other team started work on Monster Hunter World. So at the end of the last game here in Japan. So it's been in development for like 4 years. But because of when they started development, the Switch wasn't out yet. They didn't even have a prototype of the Switch yet. So they prototyped the game on 3DS for pre-production. So there's a build somewhere out there where they're zipping around probably on wire bugs on a 3DS. And I want to see it.
Oh my God, dude.
Because at the very start, they said that the concept was, Yozo looked at him and said, I want a portable Monster Hunter game. Because he knew that they were going to home console with the other series, with World and Iceborne. So he's like, give me a beautifully portable game. Something that's easy, quick to play, all ages, especially probably for Japan. He didn't say, give me a Japanese game or something tailored for Japan. He says, I want portable Monster Hunter. So that was the goal. So when the Switch was announced, they're like, this is where we're going. But they had a prototype on 3DS. I really want to see that.
Jesus Christ. Well,
I wonder if they'll ever show it.
Let's hope that the Monster Hunter team hears this, and maybe you actually get to see it because you're actually in Japan. You never know. Never know, because like Third Fleet podcast is a big deal. I mean, come on, hook Gaijin up. Let's go.
Hook us up. Let's get some dev footage, man. Let's get some behind the scenes stuff going on.
Let's go check out the 3DS prototype. Like, I don't actually want to play it, mind you. I just want to see it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to play it. I just want to see what it looked like. It sounds fancy. So this is another side topic I'm going to jump on here, which is why I love this podcast. We could just side topic as much as we want.
That's the best.
But
free flow conversation.
One of the things I can't stand is people comparing the wire bug to Clutch Claw, because you're comparing a feature that was developed years after they had the idea for the wire bug. They're not even the same thing. They don't even do the same thing. They're mechanically completely different. It's
interesting because I think the overall impression that people get, and I probably got that impression as well the first time that I saw the wire bug. The overall impression is like, okay, so people complained about the Clutch Claw, so they went and they made a different kind of Clutch Claw. But technically speaking, it would actually be the other way around, right?
Yeah, this was in existence years before Iceborne started. This was in existence when World was in development.
It existed before Iceborne, so if anything, it was the Iceborne team that looked at the wire bug and said, we could do something like that.
There's an idea there, zipping around on a line.
Yeah, let's get people to like clutch on them. Ours is going to be cooler because we're going to make them clutch onto the monsters and do crazy attacks. It's going to be crazy. That's actually so fun. Like, I guarantee you that probably 70% of the people that listen to this podcast, that their initial thought, just like me, was like, I mean, Clutch Claw didn't work out as well as they thought. A lot of players complained about the Clutch Claw, so they made something that's not as annoying as a Clutch Claw. No, it was the other way around. The wire bugs, they came before the Clutch Claw.
I just love how goofy and off the wall the stuff in Rise is, because it's like, oh, you want to tenderize a monster? Well, you can throw a beetle at the guy. It'll tenderize his whole body.
Yeah,
like the elemental flights. And
can
you imagine like any other developer? Oh God, yeah. So any other developer, I think, would add say, okay, let's add a jump button. But they did something so much better.
Oh yeah,
I love it. So anyway, I've been going off on a weird thing, but what I was trying to say in the long haul here was that Rise is going to kill it in Japan. It's going to do great overseas as well, and we're going to come full circle, and this is going to help fund the development of, obviously they're working on Monster Hunter 6 or whatever you want to call it.
Let's just call it Monster Hunter World 2. It's called World 2 for now because that's an easy title for people to understand, and most people understand. Okay, so it's the sequel to Monster Hunter. It's not actually going to be called World 2. It's going to have a different name for sure, but yeah.
I may as well get off all the beef on my chest at this point. So
go for it.
It bugs me when people call it the A team and the B team. It bugs the crap out of me.
And I've done it. I know that I've done it in my videos. I'm sorry.
Apologies, but I can't. The problem is that in the West, there's a conception that a B team is like a B-rated movie. It's not as good as the A team, the premium team. That's not the case. And there's not even two teams, technically. There's two virtual teams. It's actually just one huge-ass team. And they split off, and they can make 2-3 teams. I think at max, they have like 4 teams going. Because, for example, like right now, they have... When World finished, they had the Rise team working on Rise. When World finished, they had the Iceborne team starting on Iceborne already. And you better believe they started pre-production from Monster Hunter World 2 at the time that the development started for Iceborne. They're not doing those one after another. They're doing them concurrently.
Yep.
So they're just like, the team members swap in and out, and the directors have their kind of like niches. But it's like, it's not 2 teams. So like for people who are curious... Rise being on the Switch or coming out does not delay the next great home console Monster Hunter by any means. And if anything, it buys them a little time as they work on it. And it means that they're not going to rush it out. Because now they have another game to fill the gap. They can really focus and make something wonderful. So I don't get where people complain about stuff like, this was a wasted opportunity and stuff like that. I'm like, ugh.
I think it's just because... a lot of people just don't have like we just don't have that amount of insight into the development process, right? So it takes a lot of research to get to that level of like understanding, okay, so there's this team working on this, there's that team working on that, and following like different interviews in Japanese and whatnot. Like that's why you're a huge fountain of information that a lot of us don't get to see, because like, a lot of this stuff is in Japanese interviews and Japanese podcasts, and we just don't speak the language.
Yeah.
I've actually considered learning it at one point. I was like, dude, I should learn Japanese. Like this was before World came out. I'm not kidding. Like before World came out, because I was just like thinking to myself, man, I really want to cover Monster Hunter ahead of World, right? I really want to cover Monster Hunter, and I just can't cover it properly unless I know how to speak Japanese, so I can import the games and do all of these things. It's
that's why I'm so happy that Rise, the Western audience, are first-class citizens. Like same day release. Some of the marketing is hitting the West. Some of the marketing is hitting the West first. Like I want to say you all, but I'm included, but we earned it.
I love how the American man in Japan is like, y'all out there in the West. So good.
Western market people.
Yeah, all you guys out there.
But it like earned the seat at the table, like legs up on the table, king. Like with the massive sale and support for World and Iceborne, like hats off to everybody. Like that's great.
I was super happy when World was announced as a worldwide release. Like that was like, I was like, oh, thank God I finally get to cover this game. Like I've been chomping at the bit to be able to like cover a Monster Hunter game from the get-go, dude. It was insane. I was like, oh man. And then like with Rise, I was just like, again, Rise was announced and I was thinking to myself, please don't go back to your old ways of like releasing it in Japan first and only then in the West. Like, I hope that it never goes back to that. I hope like we keep getting them day and date in the West.
Yeah. Because, and I think we've talked about this before I think we've talked about this on the podcast a little bit. If we did, we don't have to cover it. But one of the other topics that pops up a lot is, this should have been multi-platform, should have been on PlayStation 4, should have been on Xbox as well. And I think it all comes down to, again, the concept of the product was portable Monster Hunter. And so everything that is educating the decisions they make, whether it be the length of a quest, the way that the mini games work, the way that the RNG grind is going to work, the end game, everything has to have that in mind. This is a game that has to be able to be played very well portably. So it's going to be different design decisions. And so they could probably make the graphics prettier and make it look okay, but the design of it is still inherently based on portable.
Yeah, so like one of the things,
it's not as easy as people think.
One of the things that we were talking about is how big the map was, the Shrine Ruins map, because when you first get in there, it looks massive, but like after you spent a decent amount of hours in there, like we've been, it actually starts to feel quite small. It's got a lot of verticality to it, and it's got a lot of hidden things here and there. But like if you're just talking about chasing monsters down, like you got what, 4 arenas, 5 maybe? It's not that much.
Yeah.
So it actually becomes a really small map, which makes sense from a portable standpoint. But like on a home console, doesn't make as much sense, you know? Particularly if you're looking at that map on like a huge screen with all of the details, it's going to start to feel small and a little bit claustrophobic as well. But
yeah. And also, I mean, just game development at 101, like you start with the base console and that sets the bounds, right? Like we can't have a monster bigger than this one because it would clip or it wouldn't load. And so there's things that they would have want to put, they have a lot of pride, right? So they don't want to put a game on PS4 or PS5 that isn't doing the best version of the game on that console. So I agree it sucks. Like it would be nice, but in this current world, man, if you were to take a Switch game and port it on PS5, he would say it looks like crap or it doesn't play right and it would distract from whatever they're doing next, which is World 2 or whatever we want to call it. That I have high expectations for. I think that'll blow us out of the water, whatever it is.
And that is also one of the reasons why I've seen a lot of people say, oh yeah, but the game's coming later to PC. Like all the time in my streams and stuff, people just like going, it's coming later to PC. And it's like, I know that there's been leaks and whatnot and that people are drawing a lot from that. But let me tell you, I don't think it's coming to PC. I hope I'm wrong because, you know, the more platforms, the better. But I don't think it's coming to PC. I really don't. But, you know.
My take is if it does, that would be awesome. But I'm not waiting a year to play this game or however long it might take for them to port it. Like I ain't waiting that long. I can't. And also that destroys portability for me, which is a big deal. So even I mean, and yeah, they wouldn't have save data sharing and stuff like that. So like, yeah, if they do it, I think it'd be great. But I mean, people also have to remember, like, just because there's a PC build out there, every game is developed on PC.
Yeah. Every game is
every
developed
game,
on
even
PC.
3DS games are developed on PC.
Pretty much.
So who knows what their actual plans are or how they may have changed. But you know, I'm excited for it to be on Switch. I think it's a good console for it. I pray to God there's a Switch Pro. I'm with everybody there. Okay, like that's
actually something that I wanted. That's actually something that I wanted to ask you about. This was another topic that I brought up to my stream earlier today, which is like, so there's been a lot of rumors about the Switch Pro, right? And I was actually thinking, you think that Nintendo might be holding off on the announcement of a Switch Pro to kind of like ride out the wave of, because like there's going to be a lot of people buying a Switch for Monster Hunter Rise. Let's get real. There's definitely going to be a lot of people, particularly after the success of World. There's going to be a ton of people wanting to dive into the next Monster Hunter experience. And if it's only available on the Switch, there's going to be a lot of people that will be buying a Switch specifically for Monster Hunter. So what happens if, like, say, a month after Monster Hunter's out, Nintendo's like, by the way, we're releasing a new console soon? That can't happen, right?
Yeah. And you know, I hate to be a non-believer, but I don't think we're getting a Switch Pro this year. I just don't. I don't believe it at all. I would not bet any money on it.
It's like I don't think Nintendo would do that. Like write out a game as popular as this one, where they probably would know that people would want a more powerful console, and then announce it afterwards. I think that'd be a pretty scummy move, and it would erode.
Where I'm thinking is Switch Pro, or whatever we want to call it. That I see being a launch release with Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate next fall. Think about it. It makes perfect, like the way I'm looking at it is PS5 and Xbox. I'm sorry, they have not launched officially yet. Okay, the resellers have it. The content creators, some of them have it. But in all honesty, for the public, it's not out. You cannot buy them. There's no lineup of games. So this Christmas season is going to be the real true launch of current gen. So PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are going to have a lot of big titles. They're really going to be capturing everything. Switch is in such good shape right now, they don't need to release a new hardware. People are finding ways to really maximize it, which is proven by Rise. And it runs fantastic, and it runs at 30, which is fine. Breath of the Wild 2, I have no idea when that's coming. But that might be another title where maybe they have it. Maybe that's next summer.
That's the launch game for the Switch Pro.
Can you imagine, like, they have, like, summer, they release or spring or summer they release Breath of the Wild 2 with the Switch Pro, and then a few months later we get Rise Ultimate, 60 FPS.
I want like a special edition. A special edition console of Rise, because I've never bought like a game themed console, and Monster Hunter would I wanted to buy the Monster Hunter PS4. Did you see that thing when they did the? Oh my god, it's like it wasn't even the console for me. Like the console was pretty sure, but that controller, dude, I would kill for that controller.
Does it kill you to know that I sold my Rathalos limited edition PS4 Pro? I pawned it. I sold it off. I got rid of it. Yes.
Oh my.
That shows you how much of a non-collector I am.
I hate you so much.
Well, it sounded like a Rathalos. When you turn it on, it sounded like a damn Rathalos. It was the entire time. In fact, I will credit that damn machine for making me an Xbox player, because that was the machine. It was, I mean, like, people don't know this, but like, depending on the model and the lot of when it was manufactured, PS4 Pros have a range of sound profiles.
Yeah.
The newer ones are much better. So you may be lucky, you may have a good one, where the older ones sound like United Airlines, like it's
like
an airplane.
Mine. Yeah,
and that's exactly what the limited edition sounded like. It was the worst one. So when I played it, it was loud as hell. Especially, I mean, you go into the training room, I can't even hear myself think. It's like
so wait a minute. Let me get this straight. So you bought it,
yeah,
and then you sold it.
And then I hated the noise profile. I started hearing about the Xbox Series X, and that it would play it better. It would play it more quiet. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait for the PC version. I want the best version of this game. So I bought a Series X, which was tough to do actually, because it didn't sell. And then I just fell in love with the Xbox, and I started playing on there. And I'm looking at this, loud ass Rathalos, and I'm like, I'm never going to play you. And then I was thinking, because I was foolish back then, I said, well, I'll probably get a PS5, right? Because of course I love all consoles, so I'll buy the PS5. So I may as well sell it now when the PS5 is not out. I'll get more money for it, and then I'll use that money towards a PS5, which, as you can tell, worked out really well for me.
Did you at least made more than you bought it for?
No, not at all. It's not like that in Japan. In Japan, they don't. The consoles don't. You can't resell it for more than you bought it for. No, but I got something like.
But it's a collector's item. How can? Oh my god. Man.
It's a vintage Boeing airplane. That's what it is.
Oh my god, dude, I'm dying inside. Oh, I would kill for that controller, dude. That controller looks so good.
The controller was hype, but they sold the controller separately here. So I think so. So I think if you wanted to get just the controller, you probably could import it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, people are like, what, you sold it? I'm like, yeah. You know how many closets I have in my apartment? One. And that's for everything, for me and my daughter. Like, I don't have storage space. I'm not keeping and collecting stuff. I do keep my old physical copies of Monster Hunter games, and that's it. Everything else I sell. I don't keep it. So, but like, so I'm painting a scenario here, right? Like, they would have announced the Pro by now. You're not going to launch. Rise is going to be undoubtedly the biggest Switch game of 2021. There's no doubt about that. In Japan. You don't skip announcing a new console right around its launch.
I didn't even think of it from a Japanese perspective, because obviously Nintendo is also a Japanese company. So they also have to think of their image in their own territory. And Monster Hunter is going to be the biggest thing in Japan for the Switch this year, hands down, because almost not, unless they launch the Pokemon, I don't think anything else has the
Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate was a launch title for the new 3DS here.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the flagship title showcased the performance.
So yeah, then we're definitely not.
So think about this, like, just mirror it and say, okay, so they had it where you can play with the old base 3DS and the new 3DS. You can play in 60 frames per second or 30. Either way, it was a good sell, right? If they come out with a Switch Pro next year, when we have maybe Breath of the Wild 2, Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate, which I'm assuming is going to get made, because come on, Monster Hunter 6 is going to
Yeah,
take
yeah.
years to make. They're not going to get that thing out right away. People are like, it's coming next year, like, or this year. I'm like, no, it's not. Um, you you put that on there like next year. Let's say we give Rise a full year cycle, which they always give it. So, and then let's give it a few months for marketing. That puts us at summer next year for an ultimate release. That would be the perfect timing. Perfect for a upgraded Switch Pro. So I do not see it coming this year.
A Monster Hunter themed Switch Pro.
Yes,
dude.
Exactly. And do I think it would be like 4K? Hell no.
Yeah, it might.
4K
might do
in a portable machine? Are you? I mean, unless they made it like non-portable.
No. Here's the thing. I think it might do 4K like in some menus
Upscale?
and maybe like in some screenshots and stuff like that. But I think actually one of the reasons why they want it ready for 4K is because a lot of 4K TVs, particularly the cheap ones, they do a piss poor job of downscaling. So like if you have a game that is running at 1080p on a 4-screen TV, it looks like ass unless your TV has good downscaling. So that might be one of the reasons why Nintendo's like, look, a lot of people are getting 4K TVs now. You need to make sure that your game outputs to 4K. It doesn't have to like be native 4K. It just needs to do the upscale. The game itself needs to do the upscaling so that that's under our control and not under the control of a crappy TV. That might be one of the reasons why they're doing it. Because a portable console is not going to do 4K. Not in the next like 5 years, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about Japan market? I'm looking at sales or market data from last September, and 4K households that had the ability to receive 4K broadcast on TV, aka meaning they probably have a 4K TV or a tuner, finally broke 10%. That's how low the share is.
Yikes!
Yeah, it's not high. There's just not a demand for it here.
It's probably mostly going to be. I'd imagine.
Yeah. So that's me. I want it, but sorry, I just don't see it coming this year. And if it does, I'll be happy. But I don't see them pulling that on people. Like the fact that they don't have a limited edition Switch for Rise is already suspect to me. I'm like, huh? Like you would normally do that, but if they're going to release, a brand new hardware next year, then maybe they don't want to piss people off with a limited edition this year and then a limited edition next year. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense.
But either way, I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist because everyone's like, oh, it's coming this year. I'm like, no, it's not. But if it does, I'll get it, and I want a special edition. But my eyes are on next year.
It's like here's the thing. Like I don't care when it comes. I'm gonna buy it. Like I just think that would be very unfair to people that are gonna get into the Switch because of Rise, and I know that there's a lot of them, particularly among our audiences for sure. So it would just kind of suck if they got screwed over by that. But here's the thing, guys. I would still wait until as close as possible to Rise, because who the hell knows, right? Unless you're just like chomping at the bit to play some GU or something else on the Switch, like maybe you dip your feet into Breath of the Wild, then sure, do your thing. But otherwise, I would wait until like, I don't know, the 20th of March or something like that, just to make sure that you don't run into any shortages before you go.
Yeah, don't tell me Gaijin said it was not coming out this year, so I splurged. Like, no, like I take no responsibility for my assumptions here.
We take no responsibility. We're just making educated guesses, and we don't actually. It's like we try to advise people to the best of our ability. Like I said the same thing last year, which I was like, look, if you think there might be a Pro, wait until March before you buy it. Otherwise, buy it on Black Friday and buy the cheapest model you can get.
Yeah. Then even like the CEO of Nintendo America, Bowser, like he even said like flat out, we're focused on catalog right now. We're not talking about or thinking about hardware. I know they have to say that before they announce something, and then they could say that in the very next day, turn around and announce something. But I don't see any momentum outside of analysts and like people, journalists saying there's rumors about this. It's like you guys are the only ones talking about it. Like I don't see anybody else rumoring up. I don't see patents being discovered. I don't see anything that points to a market strategy for a hardware release.
There was something about the whole 4K thing where Nintendo was like instructing developers about something regarding 4K. But yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Jesus Christ! It's like a storm outside. I'm sorry. Like
I just heard something. I was like, do you have the PS4 Rathalos version?
No, there's a storm outside, massive windstorm. I was like, the hell?
It's what it sounded like when the
it's a friggin'
CD
tornado.
drive's like. Oh my gosh! I hated that machine so much.
Oh man. But okay, I'm gonna pull this back into a Rise discussion,
Yes.
more targeted towards weapons, because now I guess that at this point we've both played all of the weapons a significant amount.
Some of them not a significant amount, but yeah, I've had enough hands-on time to have feelings.
Okay, so my question is: now that you've played with all of the weapons, what do you think is going to be like your main weapon? And obviously we're going to play multiple weapons, but like what's going to be your go-to?
Oh man, you're going to do that to me. If you already know yours,
Of course
you
I
can go
do.
first. But what thing is, I know the 5 in which it's going to come out of. Which of the 5 is still kind of in the air? I have some feelings of what it might be, but I don't know. But I'll say of the top contenders, we'll do process of elimination. Perhaps by talking this through,
Okay.
I will discover what my main is right here on this podcast.
Oh yeah. I'm very good at that. You say any ranged weapon,
happens.
I'll shoot it down instantly.
So I'm gonna just walk through the weapon selection screen in my head. So no. Dual blades is definitely going to be part of my main arsenal, but it won't be my main weapon. But I do very, very much enjoy it. And that's going to be a fun sort of stress-free weapon for me to use. Lance, I'm actually actively not going to main it because it was my first and it was my main weapon through many games already, especially like 3G, 4G. I used it as well quite a bit. I used it in World quite a bit. I've been looking for excuses to not use it because I already know the weapon really well and I love it. So it's time to learn to love something else equally as much, right? And the Silkmine arts this time were enough to tell me, you know what? It's okay. I don't need to main this. I'll play it, but I don't need to main it, going through story. So Lance is off the list. Gun Lance, is not going to be my main. I mean,
why not?
It's my worst weapon.
It's like
I don't know how to use it well.
In the game.
It's a cool weapon. So notice I've always ever said it's my worst weapon. It's not my least favorite by any means. It's my worst weapon that I suck at it. Switch axe is definitely in the top contender for my main weapon.
Switch axe so good.
Switch axe to me. Yeah, okay, we'll put that up there right now on the pedestal. This might be it, right?
Yeah.
Charge blade, no. Insight glaive is definitely on the pedestal again, but then again, I keep maining that weapon. I really need to stop touching it, but I can't. And I know that the portable team is going to do something stupid crazy with the Kinsex that's going to make me want to main it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people who did not play the Insight glaive in Generations Ultimate, oh my god. Like the things they gave those Kinsex, like the end game ones, like what you grab a white and you immediately got 30% affinity. Are you kidding me? Like there was some crazy bug skills.
That thing was pretty busted. Although I do kind of miss like the drill Kinsect that you used to have. I think it was in 4U. You'd be able to like actually nurture a Kinsect to become like a drill that would like pierce through and whatnot and do all kinds of crazy stuff. That one was cool.
I am so intrigued by something that's not in the demo, which is the text that says that Kinsects have 2 types. One of them, if you mark a monster, one will produce dust effects. And dust effects I loved. I thought that was a fantastic feature in Iceborne. But the other one is the Kinsect will auto attack. It'll just say, okay, I'm going, I'll start attacking. If that means that for a period of like a minute, it just keeps whacking on the part that you marked, oh my god, you can like mark the tail and then go to ham on the head and maybe get a tail cut just from the Kinsect alone.
Yeah, that's how it
I don't know how that's going to work.
That's how it worked in World. You would shoot the
Kinsects
pheromone at the monster and it would just like stay attacking that spot. It just wasn't like going ham on it. It'd be like, tuck. And after a while, tuck. Tuck, that's
But they
the auto
do good
attack.
damage.
Kinsec.
Even in the demo, the slow, horrible Kinsec does like pretty good damage.
It's all
So
right.
I don't know. Insect Glaive, I like it. I keep calling it Kinsec Glaive. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's happened to me a few times as well. The Kinsec Glaive. Okay.
But that's another one where I main it too much, so I really shouldn't touch it. It's like a drug at this point.
Okay. So right
And
now
light bowgun is definitely on the top tier. That's something I've been wanting to main. I've never mained a bowgun in a game before. I always use it at the end game when it's OP and you have access to everything.
Can't do that to yourself.
So
don't go the route of the stickies, man.
I know. So it's either switch axe or light bowgun with some insect glaive on the side. So I don't know. Maybe those will be my two mains. One melee, one gunner. Boom. Done. Switch axe and light bowgun. There you go. Those will probably be my. Oh, and did I completely forget about hunting horn and hammer? Holy shit.
Yeah, you did. Didn't even mention.
Yeah. Okay, so hunting horn, switch axe, and light bowgun are my three ones that are in my head. I don't know which one I'll main, but
So
those three are the ones that I'm going to focus on.
You drop the hammer.
I will if I have to compare the two, I will drop the hammer. Even though, oh God, I love it. It's so good.
Hammer is very satisfying. Well,
hammer's always one of those weapons. Like I played it in World quite a bit as well. It's not my main, but man, it's a guilty pleasure.
Well, it's like when it comes to mine, I'm a simple man.
Insect glaive, right? You're gonna main it. It's
I
coming. I feel it.
I see explosions. I see explosions, and I press like. Dude,
are you going to be going in with switch axe with me as well? Or?
No, Gunlance, dude. I'm gonna go straight in for the Gunlance. It's like here's the thing, right? I'm gonna keep an out for myself, which is if I get to a point where I feel like, because of scaling problems, there's always scaling problems with the Gunlance. There's like every game that I've played, there's been scaling problems with the Gunlance because of the way shelling works. And it's like, it's interesting early game because like you're dealing a lot of damage, but then late game it's like, it's like it drops off compared to the other weapons. And I hope that's not the case this time. We'll see. But if that happens, then I'm going to pick up my bad boy Sword and Shield because they did her so right, dude. Sword and Shield feels so good. So good. Like even Josh from Rage Gaming was like praising the Sword and Shield in a video the other day. And I was like, Mr. Great Sword Man praising the tiny sword with the shield. What?
It's not tiny anymore. That thing is a powerhouse.
Dude, it's so good. It just feels so nice right now with I actually like Spinning Reaper. I like the fact that not everything kind of revolves as much as it did around the infinite combo, or at least I don't think it will, because I was never a huge fan of the infinite combo to begin with. So it's like, whatever. But yeah, dude, Sword and Shield feels fantastic. Gunlance feels fantastic to play. That's the thing. It feels amazing to play normal shelling Gunlance with the counter that we got. It's just my concern is always going to be how fast we get to that damage cap, how it doesn't scale, and all of those other problems that tend to happen.
Yeah, knowing that Blast Dash is going to be back in some form is actually really nice because that gives a lot of mobility to the weapon, right?
Yeah. Although it's like right now with the counter, it's almost like I don't need mobility. I'll sit right here and counter everything you throw at me and sharpen my weapon.
Lock you down. Yeah,
I will even sharpen my weapon while I'm doing it.
What you talking about the scaling reminds me of something that, if my memory serves correctly, I could be wrong here, but I kind of recall Monster Hunter 4, not 4 Ultimate, but 4 that was released in Japan. There was a funny thing where they had the Guild Quest weapons, right? So you had like, you can go on like a level 100 or whatever it was at the time, and you can get these random, almost like Call of Tarath weapons. And they put in a Gunlance shelling type into the randomization that was basically G rank, like master rank shelling type. It was like a level 6. And it was a high rank game. And so if you got that, you just destroyed everything.
There's a precedent for what they did in World, guys. There's a precedent. Oh, no. Oh, no.
They did that.
Like, dude,
but you know what? That's not the portable team. I don't know how. Then again, they're the ones that came up with the heat gauge. And that's people are split on that. So
it's like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know if you know, because if you don't play the weapon, then maybe you weren't aware. But like in World, you could not get wide shelling level 4. Like shelling level 4 was the maximum you could get. You could get long level 4 and you could get normal level 4. You could not get wide shelling level 4. And then they came out with Kolv to Roth, and Kolv to Roth would drop wide shelling level 4. So guess what I did for 2 weeks nonstop? I farmed Kolv to Roth like I farmed it until my eyes bled gold. Okay.
Did you get it?
Bad it was. Yeah, I got it on the very last day before on the first Kolv to Roth appearance. On the last day of Kolv to Roth's appearance, I got one of the wide shell because there were like 2 or 3 of them or something, and I got one of them.
Your stream must have been going wild when that happened.
No, I was offline. You think I was grinding that thing on stream? I was grinding the thing every waking moment. Like I would wake up early in the morning, and I'd be like, okay, here we go. Grind some more Kolv to Roth. Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. It was completely insane the amount of grind I did to get that thing. That's why I have such a negative opinion of Kolv to Roth, is because I literally burned myself out on it to get a wide shelling level 4 gun lance. Jesus.
Yikes.
Yeah, but that thing was powerful though, so there is that.
Yeah, so some dark history for you.
But while we're talking on weapons, I suppose it's only right that I make a small correction where last week I said that I would put Recall Kinsect in the trash, and I wouldn't.
Hang on, I'm going to adjust my posture here, sit up a little taller, raise the chin a little.
Yeah, Recall Kinsect, guys, is actually really, really good. And I think I made a video talking about, I think I reflected that on my Insect Lay video. Because like what I did was before I made each of the videos, like I did a ridiculous amount of hunts with each of the weapons until it felt somewhat comfortable. And that's when I started getting into Recall Kinsect, and Recall Kinsect is just insane. It's really, really good. It's a really, really good skill. Yeah,
I think it's horribly named, but I've always really liked the skill, and I'm just happy to see that someone else likes it as well.
It is really badly named, but it's like there's also the thing when you realize that it's not just a dodge. Like that thing is basically, I would almost call it a better version of Foresight Slash on the Insect Lay. Like it's insane.
It's a really good counter.
You basically dodge out of the way. You will get healed if they fix, because the skill does not always work appropriately in this demo. Remember, it's a demo.
It's tricky. Well, the reason why is the underlying reason, I think there's many, is that the Kinsect is so damn slow in this game, and it's also the screen is so busy it's hard to tell where the Kinsect is. The Kinsect has to be close to the monster. If you're already close to it, it generally works. But if it's not, it doesn't. You can be close to the monster. If it's not close to it, then it's not getting it.
Yeah, but it's like the Kinsect doesn't even need to be out, because that was one of those things where everybody was going on witch hunts when I was testing this on my stream. It's like, Kinsect needs to be out. Kinsect needs to have an extract. Kinsect needs this.
No,
it's like Kinsect doesn't need a damn thing. Kinsect needs to be on your wrist. That's about it.
Yeah. It's got a little forward little motion. As long as it can connect, it's okay.
Here's the thing. I think I've had situations where it connected and it still didn't heal. So it's really weird, because like once I started getting into the flow of that skill, I started just like using it like literally on top of the monster. Like I would always be on top of the monster. And I was just like,
then you start noticing when it doesn't work. Yeah.
But the thing about that skill, and why I say it's like almost like a better Foresight Slash, because you dodge backwards when it's working, you get healed, and then you can either dodge back into the monster with the aerial dodge, or you can straight up attack right back into it. It's insane, because like it's just like, oh, I'll just dodge this. I don't feel like eating your fireball right now. I'll just dodge out of the way and then jump back in. Are you gonna do a tail swipe? I'll just dodge out of the way and then jump back in. It costs 1 wire bug. You can just like spam that stuff nonstop. Like I used to think that like, oh man, I really like that vault skill, and I'm just like, nah, dude, that's the one that's getting replaced. Recall Kinsect is there to stay. Like, screw that noise.
The vault is basically if the monster starts to run away and you just want to close the gap really fast. Yeah, I think that's where it really shines. You wouldn't normally want to work that into, like, if you're sitting there going ham on the monster, you don't need to use it.
You know where I've actually seen the vault shine a lot, and this is going to be really counterintuitive, but is if you use it from the ground. Instead of using it in the air to reset,
really good.
You use it from the ground because of the angle that it does.
It's perfect.
And it's like you instantly press X and you're just like some people, someone in my stream even asked me, how are you doing the dual blades Beyblade move with the, and I was like, I'm not.
Yeah. It's a feel good move if you get the distance.
That was,
I'm really happy to hear that you found fun with it.
I came around on that skill. And it actually became probably one of my most used skills with the insect glaive. And I thought it was really funny because at one point I was showing this in my stream and someone was saying, I don't even see you using the skill. Why are you praising it so much? And it's like, you're not seeing me use it because you're not paying attention. I've used it like 3 times in the last 2 minutes. It's just like, it's just such a subtle skill that you don't even see it happen almost unless you're really paying attention, because the movement of the insect glaive is already by its nature like you're just like jumping all over the place. Yeah. Like an additional jump backwards doesn't even seem like it's that different from the usual moveset. But one
cool thing I wanna note here that I've never noted it before, but I think it's kind of funny, is if like monsters constantly run away from you, right?
Yeah.
And that happens in all Monster Hunter games. And sometimes you just want to top off and you want to heal, right? Like you just want to pop a potion or something so you're not going in with 80% health or whatever. You can use Recall Insect on small monsters and get green heals.
Oh, I also figured out that
it doesn't have to be a large monster. You can just go boop and you get a free heal. You're done. Just from a little Jagras standing right next to you.
I also figured out that in this demo, for some reason, we can bounce off of corpses with the insect glaive.
Yeah.
Like I killed a Rathan and then suddenly I noticed, wait, I just bounced off of her. What the hell? So you're just like, boing, boing, just like boing. Pogo sticking off of a corpse. Very disrespectful. You shouldn't do that. But, I did it for science. It is what it is.
Not quite as disrespectful. Did you see the amazing video from Team Darkside? They did the highest damage number possible in Monster Rise demo.
I haven't seen it yet.
I won't spoil it then, but they do something in there that is hilarious. But that's probably my favorite video. There's the amount of research and dedication it takes to time that stuff out. Oh my gosh,
they're so crazy with that stuff. Like I've seen the one they did in GU and the one that they did in World, and it was insane. The World one, like the amount of stuff of the way that they just aim the hit and all, it's freaking crazy. You guys need to check out.
I mean, do you want to guess how much the damage is? It's in there.
I mean, they put it in the thumbnail. It's like 1928 or something. I think it's something like that. Yeah. I know that's 1900 something, which is pretty big when you think about in terms of Rise numbers. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Okay, so we got gun lance for you, and
sword and shield.
The other one that you said?
Sword and shield is my side baby.
Switch axe, light bowgun, and glaive for me. I think we got a good balance there.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll have to get some hunts on once I get my hands on an actual Kinsect that moves.
Yeah, dude, that Kinsect is so bad.
I don't want to demo it off anymore because it gives the weapon a bad name.
It does.
Stupid Kinsect.
That Kinsect is just so atrocious. But interestingly enough, if you spam him, the damage that he does, like if you spam attack him, like it was that because I went into the training mission for the Wyvern riding, and I was just like spamming the Kinsect at Azuros. He wasn't even being able to move. It was like the Kinsect's just beating the crap out of him. How much is it? Because I know like
down. Izuchi does like 17 a pop, and he attacks pretty fast if you spam it.
Yeah, if you spam it, like on Arzuros, I think I was getting like 13s and 14s on most of my hits. And it was usually close to the head. So it's like bang, bang, bang. So I was like, I remember I broke his face, broke his hands. I was just like breaking him all up just by spamming a Kinsect on him. I was like, wow.
You ever see the video from Kanta? I think did a run where Kanta killed Alatran, I think, using Kinsect only. That was hilarious.
I did that build. I did that build to try it out. It's pretty good. It's really fun. But like there was another one in World where the first time that I saw it was Cups, who's also a streamer. I don't know if he was the one who came up with it, but it was like, you know how that the downward thrust move will like get the Kinsect to pierce through the monster. So what he did was like he got the slowest Kinsect with the most power.
Does it does it do hits all the way through it?
Oh yes, and he did it on
wow.
he picked up a clip from his stream where he was doing it to like Call of Roth, and it's just like 200 each hit, just like drilling.
You know what?
Call of Roth.
Maybe that's why they didn't include that art in this demo. It would have been OP because the insect is slow and powerful.
I have no idea, but like that was so funny. Like people were commenting on his thing. It's like, gun numbers go brrr. It's just like a ton of numbers, and all you hear is like drrr, just like going through the entirety of Culture.
Kids go brr.
It's so good. It was really good, but yeah, that might be something.
See that later.
Yeah, that was cool. So, is there anything that you've came around on in terms of like skills or anything like that? Like maybe a skill that you saw initially that you're like, I don't like this. And maybe now it's starting to click off. Because like I can also tell you that we were like talking about the gun lance's counter and how it was shorter than the charge blade. Once I got used to it, I don't care about the duration. It's so good. It's okay. So insanely good. It's like it's whatever. Like particularly on the Rathian, because it's a monster that I know really well. Like I'm able to counter like probably 90% of her attacks. Like no problem. Just be like, oh, here comes the tail swipe counter. Here comes the roar counter. Hell, I've even tried countering when I don't have wire bugs because it just becomes so second nature. I was like, damn it, I was out of wire bugs. God damn. But it feels so good when you just keep knocking those off. It's so amazing.
So I will say that it's not something that I came around on, but it's something that I want you to see because I want to get your take on it. There is a 6-minute and 8-second run with the charge blade against Mizutsune that I tweeted out yesterday. And this person uses not only the sort of moving slash to reposition really well, but uses that morphine attack, the silk bind that you hate.
Yeah, the one that I don't like
to unbelievable effect. Like I could never pull it off. They use it constantly to get the perfect position to go straight into super elemental discharge. It's impossible for me to describe it.
But it's not the amped one, right? It's just the regular elemental discharge.
No, the super amped elemental discharge.
Is it the one that drops the lightnings or the one that just does 3 explosions on the head?
The one that drops the lightning.
Interesting. I wouldn't expect.
It's weird. They're using it for repositioning, but then they go straight from the sword into the final one, and it's just it's tech that I never would have thought about. It's interesting.
I have to look at it because I still haven't gotten that skill to work for me. Like I don't like it at all. Because like here's the thing. Because I think a lot of people when I say that it doesn't work for me, they're like thinking that I actually mean the skill doesn't go off or something. Like no, what I'm saying is like when I use it, I end up in a position where I can't do anything useful. Like I'll use it and I'll be like, oh, I overshot the monster. Or like, oh, I undershot the monster. It just seems like the range and the position that you're left in feel really awkward. So if there's someone that mastered it, then yeah, I'm curious to see what they did with it. So I'll probably check it out after the podcast.
There is one skill I mean, I'm so easily excitable when it comes to Monster Hunter.
Yes, you are.
And so I generally like everything, and I'm very positive about everything. So all the silk binds, I was all like, hype train going into this. But there was one that I was a little bit sour and a little bit down on, but now I'm not, which is the vault move, the fanning vault or whatever with the light bowgun, where you jump high up in the air.
How could you not like that, dude? How could you not like that's like, oh my God. That's one of my favorite things about light bowgun is just like planting mines on the monster.
Well, that's the one I think we discussed it before, but if you don't move the camera manually, it can feel a little like sporadic. Like I don't know where I'm shooting. I can't. And then of course, as you use it, you get used to knowing that you're above the monster. But if you want to try to use ammo to shoot, if you just shoot, you're going to shoot forward into the air and hit nothing. You do have to aim. Yeah. But if you do that, it's so good.
So here's how
I got I want to ask you about though, is you might know because I don't for some reason. I have this weird feeling, and I've seen some people tweet about this, where you put the Wyvern Blast in the ground, right, with the light bowgun.
Yeah.
Then it's got that move where you zip forward and you do like a slicing shot.
Yes.
I've been reading some people saying that causes the Wyvern Blast to do more damage than normal if you use that to detonate them.
I mean, the damage of the Wyvern Blast, as far as I understand it, I'm not a big light bowgun guy, but as far as I understand it, has always been dependent on the damage that it hits it in. So, like, if a greatsword user smacks that thing, it deals more damage than if somebody else does it. Yeah. I mean, that's the way it was in World, at least. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I did not know this.
Have you not noticed, for instance, that like in most like runs that I would see, at least back in the day and during World, like whenever a light bowgun main would put down a mine, they would usually detonate it with a melee attack, because the melee attack is an easy way to just deal a significant amount of damage, as opposed to like taking a shot that deals like 10 damage. Because the melee attack will deal more damage.
Yeah, I always do it with melee because I just thought it was convenient. I didn't realize it made it more powerful.
The thing is always, at least the way it worked in World, again, I haven't exhaustively tested it here, is that if you deal too much damage to it, it burns off more than one charge, because usually they blow up 3 times. If you deal too much damage,
5 times, right?
3. In
World, I noticed it blew up. It blew up 5 times in Rise.
I don't.
You get 5 explosions from the light bowgun and Wyvern Blast. When you do like a melee, it's 5. When I first saw it, I was like, I thought it was supposed to be 3. So wait,
you do 5 melee hits?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right. I'm pretty sure it's 3, but I don't know.
Am I smoking something?
I don't know, dude. Like I think it's 3. We need to go do some testing. We need to go do some testing on the Wyvern Blast mines, but yeah,
because I've never seen it. I'm like, did they increase the amount? And then I wasn't sure.
I'm pretty sure it's 3, but I could be wrong. But like one of the cooldowns that I did.
20 seconds.
Yeah, one of the cooldowns that I did on Mizu, not kills, downs, was like I planted 3 mines on him and then I threw the fire beetle at him. So he got the debuff of the fire beetle and it detonated all 3 mines. So I was like,
and then you mounted.
You just hear the cracking sound, and then he fell off to the side like, oh no. So that was fun. But so here's one thing that I'm curious to ask you about.
4, 5. Yeah, it's 5. If I do a melee, I get 5 hits per. I get 5 per Wyvern Blast.
Interesting.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm getting 5. Maybe they increased it. I don't know. Maybe that's a buff and we didn't realize. And I took the Switch out of the dock for the first time in a long time. Man, does it look good in portable mode.
It does. I told you.
Jeez.
But getting back into this, another thing that I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if you've seen this news yet, but they're saying something about golden versions of the Amiibos for Rise.
Oh, yeah. That's so
tell
what
me
that
about
is okay. So as might come to a surprise to especially Americans, in which 7-Eleven is far from a wonderful establishment that is clean and full of wonderful entertainment. It's not a hub.
Yeah,
it's like a trash heap.
So that was the other thing, because I remember reading something about 7-Eleven. I didn't think it was actually like a 7-Eleven thing.
So like 7-Eleven, people have to understand, is a huge thing in Japanese culture. 7-Eleven is not 7-Eleven as you know it in the West, which is like this crappy rundown convenience store where you can buy Slurpees and things that are bad for you and alcohol. Like 7-Eleven here is an entertainment hub in which the country revolves around. 7-Eleven here have like fresh white rice, fresh food, movie tickets, sell games, lottery things with toys, plushes, Gundams, food, drink, beverages. You could sit down in some of them and eat. It's an incredible establishment here in Japan, and they're on every single damn corner. You can go if you're in any city, you can go to a 7-Eleven like right there.
It seems like a much better version than the ones I hear about in America. That's for damn sure.
No, America's 7-Elevens are horrible. 7 Iron Holdings, I think, but 7-Eleven here in Japan is unbelievable. Okay. It is the crowning achievement of Japanese establishment is the 7-Eleven here. It is unbelievable. So almost all games, especially Monster Hunter, they have always done a lot of collaborations with 7-Eleven because it is such an entertainment hub of a store here in Japan and it's everywhere, that most games will get lots of pre-order bonuses. They'll get lots of incentives. Pokemon Go has tons of things with 7-Eleven where you can get, cereal codes from buying, tea and water, where you can get rare Pokemon or tickets to join events and stuff like that. So I don't know what the equivalent in the West would be. I don't think there is one. That's how good 7-Eleven is here.
Yeah.
So them doing collaboration quests or anything with 7-Eleven is not new because it's such a big thing here. So they're doing a thing where if you buy, they're starting the sales of the digital pre-order cards, the download code cards, which in Japan is a very big deal because it's the way that you can sell digital sales, but you're still giving the retailers their cut of the sale. In Japan, it's such a small country that retailing and selling physical copies is very important. So it's one of the reasons why digital copies for like Switch games do not cost less generally than the physical ones, even though you would assume they would, because they want to appease the physical retailers who are selling the game. So one of the ways they got around this is you can buy these awesome collectible codes. It's like shaped like a point card or something, like a credit card. Mm-hmm. And it's got wonderful art on it. It's a collectible item, and that's what has the code that you scratch off to download the game. But when you buy a digital download code at a store like 7-Eleven or another convenience store, you generally get perks, whether it's entry into a raffle, which is what we have now, or you can get like a download code for a bunch of extra items and stuff like that. So there's a perk from just downloading it on the store. So what they're doing now is they said that they're gonna draw 711 winners. If you buy from 7-Eleven the digital download code, you're put into a raffle, and they're going to pick 711 people because it's 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
And you're going to win special prizes. They said it's going to include like stationary items, some plushes. One of the prizes is going to be like a gold special Amiibo versions. Like they're like gold color, which to me look ugly as sin.
Yeah, they look real ugly.
But in Japan, like if you look at the Capcom like Monster Builder series, which are really good, like wonderful little figurines, they do the same thing where like the secret rare is like you get a piece of the secret one and there's like all gold or all silver and it looks ridiculous. But for some people, it's like, oh, it's a collector's thing, right? So if you're lucky, you can win a gold version of the Amiibos, which look disgusting. But if it's only out of 1 out of 100, 711 people in the country who can get that, that thing's going to be rare as hell. Imagine if there's only one. It's the only one in existence. So yeah, people are going to be incentivized to buy the digital version from 7-Eleven so that they can be put in the raffle to win that. That's all that is.
We can't say it's disgusting, okay? We have to say, oh no, it looks so pretty, so that Capcom sends us one. Feel me? Yeah, right.
It's ugly.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is pretty freaking ugly. But still, I thought it was a fun little thing that they're doing over there with that extra promotion. And it's a nice, interesting bit of trivia about 7-Elevens in Japan, that it's like a completely different thing than the stuff that you see.
Oh yeah, without 7-Elevens, the culture here would come to a standstill. I was joking the other night. I made curry, and I realized that I had forgotten to make white rice. And I'm like, how can you make curry, be done, be ready to plate it for dinner, and realize you didn't make rice? So I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? I'm like, well, I got a 7-Eleven literally 45 seconds on the corner of the street. I'll just go there. They have fresh white rice every day you can buy. And people are like, what? White rice at 7-Eleven? I'm like, 7-Eleven is like top scale, like establishment in Japan. And people are like, what?
Yeah. I bet you can buy sushi in there as well, right?
Oh yeah, you can buy anything there. They have lots of fresh food, and they've got like rice balls and stuff they make that day that in their factories, and they ship it out in the morning. You can buy them, and people eat lunch there, and yeah, you can buy a lot of stuff.
I'm getting a craving for sushi. Damn, I gotta get some sushi this week. I actually have a really good sushi place near my house.
I'll make you cringe. I live in Japan and I hate sushi.
I mean, that's fine. Sushi's not for everyone.
I don't like seafood.
It's not cringe. Like I think that like typical foods of a specific area, like people that live locally in that area, maybe don't tend to eat them as often nowadays.
Yeah, it's just shame because I know that the sushi here is good everywhere, and I just don't like it. So it's kind of unfortunate. I wish I liked it.
It's almost like, from what I hear, like a gourmet meal over there is going to McDonald's. It's like because like McDonald's.
Well, McDonald's is another social. that McDonald's is another social phenomenon here, but I think that's kind of true in a lot of countries. But McDonald's are official Pokemon gyms. They have download quests at McDonald's sometimes. Like it's a big cultural center here, so to say. But I think that's kind of true everywhere, in a way. But 7-Eleven is unique.
Okay.
Did you see did you see the little wallpaper though it had a watermark on it, but if you buy the game, they'll be giving away like a wallpaper for a phone, and it's the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
On the 7-Eleven raffle, you mean?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh my god, I gotta show this to you just to get your reaction.
We're doing
stream.
show and tell on the podcast. Sorry guys. It's
which is wrong.
It's wrong.
Sorry,
I'll describe it to you and you can Google it. Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
a wallpaper. It shows the little cat behind a register with like little hot buns, and it's got the basket with the Palamute with the bag in its mouth, and it's got the little owl going like wee into the shopping cart.
And it's drawn. So it's all drawn in that very cutesy Rise style that we usually see that their official Twitter account is constantly posting. It's all drawn in that style, so it looks really good.
Okay, sorry, no more show and tell when it's for audio things. It doesn't work.
It's okay. So listen, this next section is going to test you. This is a test.
Test your might.
This is going to test how attentive you have been.
Oh, good God.
To all of the trailers.
Help me.
All of the
Look at the time. I gotta.
And what is on the website of Monster Hunter Rise, Mr. Gaijin Hunter.
Okay, so no cheating. I can't pop open.
How many monsters have been officially confirmed for Monster Hunter Rise?
Am I allowed to count them out loud around my hands, or?
You can count them however you want. I just want to see if you get it right.
Okay, hang on.
Just like a bunch of silence while he's just like sitting there like counting them.
There's quite a few actually, so I almost feel like I want to write them.
There are quite a few.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me quick jot them down.
You're gonna write them down. Okay, this will be interesting.
Guys, I turned 40. I turned 40 next week, so give me a break with my mental
because
counting.
Listen, here's the thing. I only asked you the ones that are officially confirmed. Then there are a couple of
assumed
more
ones,
assumed ones, and then
like
I still
Great Jaggers.
have.
We don't know if he's in there, but he might be. Who knows?
I haven't even put Great Jaggers in here. That's actually I should actually add that to my list.
That's just an assumed one. We don't actually know.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a couple of more bases to my other assumed ones. Actually, I'm not going to put the Great Jaggers in now that I think about it, because the other ones there's better proof. Now,
okay. Here's a question, really quick. So, if we've seen the armor, are we allowed to assume that the monster's in there, or is that another assumption one?
That is an assumption.
For example, Basarios.
Yeah.
We don't actually know if it's in the game. It could be like traded with Rondina or whatever. We don't know.
Yeah. It's that one is an assumed monster, so that one is not officially announced.
I'm not going to include it. Good. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So, a second here.
This will be interesting. Like we're really
I'm on
going
the spot
all
here.
out. We're really going all out. Because I was actually surprised by how many.
So he could see me. He could see me. I'm not actually showing my cat. He can tell if I'm cheating or not. I'm not.
Yeah. I can see. So because I was actually checking this right before the podcast, and I was just surprised at how many there were already. Like it's actually insane. When I bring out this number, people are gonna go wild. Oh, he's still going. This is serious competition. There's no prize at the end. Okay.
Yeah, there's a prize if you lose. There's shame.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting you to get this absolutely right. Hell, for all I know, I might have gotten it wrong. Like you're taking more time than I did when I was researching it.
I mean, Okay, hang on a second.
I'm not pressuring you, okay? Take your time.
So why I'm doing this, you should tell people what's the monster that you've seen that you want to see more of. And no, I'm not looking for a cheap answer here.
The monster that I've seen that I want to see more
But you
of?
want to see more of.
So stuff that's been confirmed and that I want to see more of.
Yeah, like you would love to fight him.
I want to see... I want to see more of Magnamalo, to be honest. But it's like, I want to see more, but I don't necessarily want to fight him in the demo. Like, I want to see more when I get to the end, because I'm very curious as to what his element is going to be like. Like, what's the effect going to be? If it's going to be like a whole new effect, or if it's just going to be blast. Like, I've seen people say, because of something that they've seen in one of the trailers, is like, oh, the Magnamalo is going to have blast weapons. I'm just like, I hope that's not the case. I'd like to see something more.
Well, it looks like Hellfire is probably going to be its own status, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, like a completely new status.
My guess, if I have to say that, why I'm thinking about this out loud, is that Hellfire will slow down the rate of the recovery of your wire bugs. That would make the most sense.
What would it do to the enemies? Like, if the weapon, like, because I'm thinking about it from a player perspective. Like, what if?
Yeah, because it looked like Blast, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
When we saw it.
Yeah, when you saw it, it looked like Blast. Because like I was hoping for something new, kind of like how in, I think it was 3 Ultimate when we initially got Slime, right? Which eventually became Blast. Like, that was exciting. Yeah. When you first saw Slime, like, I remember when I first saw Slime in 3, I was like, what is this? You mean it puts green stuff and then explodes? I like explosions. Explosions are fun. So it's like, if we get something new, like, I'd be down for it. But I suppose it might end up just being, Blast, like people are suspicious of. But yeah.
Okay, so I think I probably exhausted too much time. So I'm going to... I probably missed somebody here, but I'm going to say there's 18. Wow, did I totally whiff?
Not totally whiff, but it's a significant difference. Oof. It's 23.
Yikes. Hang on. Jesus, that's a whiff. You kidding me? What?
23. I will name them all now so that you can figure out which ones you missed. Magnamalo, Gos Harag, or Harag.
I'll make it fun. I'll tell people if I got it so they know who I messed up. Okay, I got Magna. I got the Oni.
Lagombi, Arzuros.
Got it.
Anjanath. Yep. Did you get Anjanath?
No.
I figured you didn't. Kezu.
You know, it's probably the world ones that I forgot. Okay, got Kezu.
Kezu. Kuluyaku. Got him.
Oh, good guy. And now I know automatically that I forgot Giratotus as well.
Yeah, you did. You want to know another one that you forgot?
Okay, sorry. Wait, keep going.
Puke. Wait, let's see if you remember this one. Tobi Kadachi.
Yes.
Okay.
I got that one.
Okay, so the next ones you're going to be getting as well. Great Baggy, Barioth, Mizutsune, Tigrex, Rathalos, Somnicamp, Bishaten, Royal Ludruth, Great Roggy.
Oh, Royal Ludruth. I forgot about that one too. Jesus
You
Christ.
forgot about Sponge Boy. This one's even in the website. This one should be like -2 points because this one's actually listed in the website. A lot of these other ones were just shown in like weapon preview videos. So like, for instance, Anjanath, I completely forgot about it. It's in the Hammer preview video. I was going through the weapon preview videos to see if there were monsters there. But yeah, so Ludruth, Great Roggy, Aknosom, Great Azuchi.
Oh, Roggy. I forgot Roggy too.
That one's also on the website.
I know.
Okay. Aknosom, Aknosom, Great Azuchi, Etronodon, Rathian, and Giratotus. Those are the 20.
Did you mention Bishaten?
Yes.
And did you mention the Yama Kadaki, the spider? Yatsukadaki. Sorry.
Oh shit!
Oh, did I get you?
24. What's it called?
Yatsukadaki is the Yatsukadaki is the Japanese Yatsukadaki.
Yatsukadaki. Oh my god, I forgot.
I don't know. We don't know the English name. Yes. So hey, redemption. I got
one that I didn't get through my research. So there's actually 24 officially confirmed monsters for Monster Hunter Rise. But wait, now let's talk about the 3 that are like assumed. First one.
There's 3. There's more than 3.
I mean, I know 4. One of them is like a big assumption though, so I don't know. But like
I've got 5.
The ones that I have right here are like stuff where there's indication in videos that we've seen things that would indicate that these could be in the game. So, or videos or other media that was posted by the official account. First one.
I know exactly which monster you're talking about when you said that. Yeah.
Nargacuga shows up in an art piece. In case you guys missed it, if you go to the official Monster Hunter Twitter, there's one that they do of the trader. What's his name? It's not Rondine. It's the other one. Crap, I forget. It's a guy that runs around a caravan. He's got like one of those stamp things on his face. Yeah. So if you go to that art in the official Twitter account, there's a Nargacuga in the background. So that's a big indication that Nargacuga is going to be in the game.
Not just that, but we also have Ichinose tweeting out a picture of his personal cat and dog, and he named it Nyaruga for his cat. And was it like a Wan Ogre or whatever or something for the dog? Okay, so he's heavily hinting
Narga and Zenogre, because Zenogre was going to be the next one that I was going to bring up. The reason I bring up Zenogre is because the armor pieces on Utsuchi, and even his mask is just like straight up a Zenogre face. The other one that I was going to bring up, you brought up yourself, which is Basarios, because of the armor on the hunting horn. And finally, my number 4 would be Tetsukabra, because there's a baby Tetsukabra that Hojo rides in. So hopefully we get a Tetsukabra. But again, these are not officially confirmed, but that would bring our list to 28.
Wait, did you mention the Great Jaguars at all or no?
No, I did not mention the Great Jaguars.
It's only hinted at the fact that we have small Jaguars, but then again, we've seen small Jaggy without the Great Jaggy, so
yeah, I wouldn't want to bring the Great Jaguars into that personally.
And Gravios is kind of a push, but I know it's kind of like peas in a pod. If you've got Basarios, you're almost definitely going to have Gravios. It's almost like Raytheon and Rathian at this point. So, but that's stretching because we haven't seen anything that hints to it.
Yeah.
So,
what else? Did you have any others?
Lot of monsters. No, that was it.
Okay, so we're looking at I think these are fairly safe assumptions, the ones that we just mentioned. Maybe Tetsukabra. Yeah. Tetsukabra, I feel, is like the biggest reach in our assumptions because of Hojo. Just because he rides on a baby Tetsukabra does not mean that there's a Tetsukabra there. But still, that would be 28 monsters. Now, if we look back to World launched with 30 monsters. How many more monsters do you think we're gonna have in the final game? Because these are monsters that we're almost sure are gonna be there. Like, how many monsters are gonna be surprises?
We have to have an invading monster, whether it's Devil Joe or Basil or someone new. We've got to have some invader. Like, there's usually one. They're going to show off, obviously, a volcano map. So, we know that we have the spider already. We don't know a lot about the fire map, though. Like, there's a lot of choices that could come, right? Yeah. Like, I could totally see Volvidon because of the series of those guys. I could see Gravios because of the Basarios thing.
What about Brocky? Why not Brocky? I like Brocky. Brocky's nice.
Yeah, but if they bring him back, then they're going to have to bring back the KFC weapon.
No drumsticks. Justice for Brocky weapons, dude. No drumsticks.
They said
unacceptable.
They said for any monster bringing back from World, they're going to use the arm. This was in English, so I have not seen the Japanese behind this interview, so it could have been wrong. But the English interview that they did said if it's a returning monster from World, they will use the armor and weapon designs from that game, and if it's an older one, they'll go back to the classic style, but they'll tweak it up a bit. Hopefully they're wrong.
God.
Hopefully they were just talking about armor.
If they bring back
because
those
I don't want
goddamn chicken drumsticks, dude, I will riot. I'm not gonna accept this. I won't take it lying down this time.
I will just I'll say if it means drumsticks, I'd rather not have it back.
Yes, if it means drumsticks, no Brocky. Sorry guys. Like even the gun lance looked like ass. It was so bad, dude. The Brocky gun lance was atrocious.
I was curious and I recently went through and I made a list of how many new monsters we've gotten for every single Monster Hunter game in the history of the series.
Okay.
Because I was curious, like, how many are we looking at? Is this a lot for Rise? Is it on par? And this could help educate us to how many new monsters that we're not aware of yet. And it's interesting because the sweet spot seems to be around 15 to 16, depending on the title. So like Monster Hunter 1 was well, the thing is, like Monster Hunter, the first game, had 17 new monsters because everything was new. Do you believe that game launched with 17 monsters? That's it. That's crazy. Monster Hunter G, they have subspecies, so it probably doesn't count, but it had 14 new monsters, most of those subspecies. Monster Hunter 2, basically, I'll skip the G games because those are almost always subspecies and stuff. So, like, truly unique, like, brand new monsters. Monster Hunter DOS had 13. Monster Hunter Portable, hang on a second. Portable Second G had a lot of new monsters for some reason, so that had 10. Monster Hunter Tri had 15 new monsters. Next major game would be Monster Hunter 4, which was 15. Then Monster Hunter Generations had 18. Although those monsters had the deviants as well.
Yeah.
So deviants could be considered like not so no. So if it wasn't deviants, then it was something more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was more like 7 or 8 or something like that.
Okay.
Monster Hunter World had 19 new monsters. Which is
Is that counting Iceborne or just World?
No, just World, because you have Anjanath, Radoban, Kulayaku, Puke, Tsuzuyaku, Basil, Legiana, Paolumu, Geratodus, Dodogama, Gyros, Jagras, Odogoron, Tobikadachi, Call of Tarath, Nergigante, Valhazak, Xenojiva, and Zora Magnaros.
So
it's a lot of monsters.
I did a very quick count, and we're looking at 8 new monsters so far. Rise.
So I could see, just looking at the pattern, I'd say we're probably still got like 5 new monsters. I mean, we're going to have the final boss monster for sure for online.
Yep.
They never reveal that. So we know there's going to be one there. I'm going to assume that they're going to have like 2 new monsters for every locale, at least. So I think we can look forward to 2. We have the spider monster and probably one other new one coming for the volcanic map. So that gives us 3. So that brings us up to 11, which I actually think is around permissible territory. Anywhere between 12 to 16, I think is really good. But then we also have DLC. Like I'm assuming they're going to be doing DLC monsters like the same way that they did.
They did for World?
Yeah, I mean, because like Call of Tarath technically doesn't count, right?
You still think we're going to get that in a portable game?
I think so. I think it was so successful. I don't see how they don't do that. Like they don't do updates where they add in some stuff.
I'm happy if they do it. So okay,
yeah,
instead of
my assumption is they will.
Instead of just new monsters, you said anywhere from like at this point, anywhere from like 5 new monsters, probably something along those lines, from 5 to let's say 8, maybe a little bit more.
5, yeah, maybe 5 to 7 is more of a better gut check there, with one of them being reserved for the final boss. So maybe.
What about other monsters on top of those, like maybe returning monsters, stuff like that? I think we'll still get some more of those. It's like we're sitting at 28 monsters with our predictions. Then like 8 more, that would bring us to 36. And then what?
Yeah,
4 more returning ones, and that would put us in 40.
Yeah,
40
feels
monsters.
like a good number to me.
Yeah, 40 monsters for Rise, I think would be pretty good. And then
I'm just I'm just like looking at the elements. We can kind of actually start to guess where those monsters are probably going to slot in, just based upon status ailments and everything.
I can't look at this list and immediately just like look at status ailments, dude. I haven't reached that level of Monster Hunter knowledge quite yet. I'd have to type it all down. That'd be crazy.
It's kind of interesting. We have like status is pretty well covered. We don't have blast though. So I'm
the invading monsters, Basil. Basil,
That would be fun.
my boy, coming back.
Because like we have 2 sleep monsters, right? We got Somnicanth and Great Baggy. We've got 3 poison monsters. We've got the Great Rogi, we've got Rathian, we've got Puke Puke.
And Rathalos, technically speaking, also does poison. So, oh no, but it doesn't have poison weapons.
We'd consider him. Yeah, I'm just thinking like just weapon archetypes. So like fire's taken. We've got like probably the spider. I would assume is maybe fire or maybe it'll be blast. I don't know. But we got Acnosum. We got the spider. We got Basarios. We got Rathalos. Those are all fire weapons. I think traditionally. Ice. We have
Lagombi.
The Lagombi, and we have the Oni. I keep forgetting his name.
Gosarag.
Goshahage. Yuna likes the name, so she says Goshahage a lot, so it's in my head. Like water, we got Tetranodon and Gyrototus.
Not Gyrototus.
Thunder, we've got Tobikadachi and Kezu. Non-element, we've got stuff like Great Izuchi and Tigrex, which is nice. So it kind of, there's still some room.
Zinogre kind of like wraps up the lightning really nicely.
Would be good for thunder, yeah. And then Nargo would be good for the non-element with the high affinity. So I think we could still be looking at potentially maybe... sorry, I forgot Mizutsune for the water.
Izu. Oh, thank God.
Are we missing... So we have 3 for every element. Well, we have like maybe 4 for fire, but like ice. Like what ice monsters have we seen besides the Oni and Lagombi? Have we seen any other ice monsters?
Oh, at first draft, no. Wait, we do. Barrioth.
Oh, man. Barrioth, there you go. What do you think if Beototus is in? It would make sense. Considering that they brought Gyrototus back, it would make for a really nice low-level ice monster. Because Barrioth is quite hard. Lagombi is considered like a mid-range type of difficult monster. The Oni looks like he's going to be tough as shit.
I don't know if that map lends itself to the Beototus.
So it's got ice.
I've seen. We haven't seen enough of the map to really see how Beototus would navigate that. So I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty good thing. I think Blast is the big one I'm curious about. It's kind of like a question mark. Because we know Blast is in the game.
I hope there's like a new monster for Blast.
Then
I like
Paralysis
new Blast monsters.
Paralysis is why I think Volvidon's going to be back, because we have Arzuros, we have Lagombi, and those are the trio. They're a famous trio of the Fanged Beasts. So it would make sense if Volvidon's back.
Dude, I miss Volvidon, little roly-poly
dude. I love that monster. What do you call it? Like potato bug, pill bug? There's like all sorts of names. What do they call it in Portugal?
What?
Is there any, do you call it a potato bug or a pill bug or anything like any cute nickname that kids call it? Those little roly-polies?
The way in which we say it, it's kind of weird. It doesn't make any sense, but it's basically, call it like the adding bug.
Adding?
Yeah, it doesn't make
like mathematics?
Yeah.
Adding?
It's a weird thing because the same word that we have for adding is also like the same word that we have for telling. So it's kind of weird. It doesn't make any sense when translated to English, basically. It's like we call it biche de conta, but very few people like it. It doesn't translate very well, basically. And it doesn't give it any special meaning or anything like that. But yeah.
Oh shit, we also have Anjanath for fire. God, I see he was even off of my list there again. Yep. I forget so much about the monster.
Good old Angie.
So if we've got like 4 or 5 fire monsters, then we probably have one monster for every element that we haven't seen. There's got to be, because there's only 3 ice, 3 water, 3 thunder. There's got to be more that we just haven't seen.
Yep.
I'm curious. I can't wait to find out what
Exciting
it is.
times, but it's like, here's the thing. At the same time, I don't want them to reveal it. I want to find out in the game. They're not going to reveal every monster. They didn't reveal every monster for World. They didn't reveal every single monster that you get to fight in World or Iceborne.
Basil, I know they didn't reveal Basil, but was there anybody else they didn't reveal?
Yeah, I'm sure that there were
outside
more
DLC monsters. I don't think so.
Did they reveal? Did they reveal Odogoron before the game came out?
Yeah, it was in the trailers.
Okay. What about? Oh crap! I'll just be shooting right now. It's like everything's a blur at this point when it comes to World. So I don't remember all of the
I mean,
monsters.
I guess like
I'm like
I guess Pink
90%
Rathian
sure
was a
they didn't.
surprise.
I'm 90% sure they didn't announce like all of the monsters. Like there's
Yeah, like
always
Pink
something
Rathian and
unannounced.
Basil. Those two and the final boss they didn't announce.
Azure, Dorogama. Dorogama wasn't announced, I'm pretty sure, right?
It was in those trailers, I think, for the Elder Recess one.
Dorogama?
Yeah, I remember seeing people react to it.
I don't
know. I think they're gonna spill the beans on a lot of stuff, but
I hope they don't. Less is more.
how do you feel about the fact that they haven't really revealed Elder Dragons?
That's good. Like, you know me,
Yeah.
I love that they don't reveal that stuff. The more I get to find out at the end of the game, the better. So I'm happy.
They better
keep it close to the
They
vest.
had better bring back. If they don't bring back Chameleos, I'm gonna be so sad.
Yeah, he's been away.
Come on.
He's been away for one game. He's gonna
It's
steal
like
your power
super
charm.
Asian. It's like all Eastern and the whole theme and everything about it. It's perfect. But the problem is that they have so many poison monsters, but most of them are early games. So maybe he's the end game
Here's
poison.
the thing. You didn't know, but Chameleos is actually in World.
He's always been there. He's been there since the first game.
Exactly. Nobody's ever seen him. That's the problem, but he's always been there.
Well, it's possible, yeah, because all the poison monsters are all very early game monsters, so it's possible he could be the end game poison.
Okay,
nice.
So my next topic was going to be maps. So we have Shrine Ruins, Flooded Forest, and Frost Islands. These are the confirmed maps. Through your digging, we've seen in the demo the reference to the lava map. That was the first time that I saw it. Was on your Twitter post. I was like, oh, I guess we're getting a lava map. So we know that there's a lava map.
Give me Agnactor, please. I want Agnactor back.
How many maps do you think we're going to have in this game? World launched with 5 maps.
I mean, outside special maps, like obviously, like
Like
the Rampage seems to have its own arena, and like I'm sure the final boss will have its own arena. And
I'm talking about
if they bring back Amatsu, which like fingers crossed, I want to see Amatsu. Like that would be a nice individual map. But like actual maps, I kind of think there's just gonna be 4. I mean, we're way too close to launch now that I mean, we still have to wait for a big story reveal trailer. We still have to wait for the volcanic area trailer. I don't see that they would have hold off this long to reveal some huge map. Like that's the type of cards that you show before you go on sale, because you want people to know the volume of the game. So I kind of think that we only have 4, but it would be nice if we had 5.
And if we did have 5, I think we're going to have 5. I think it's going to launch with 5. The question then remains is, what are we getting? So we're definitely getting Shrine, Flooded, Frost, and a volcanic map. I wrote down potentially a desert map or a tropical island map.
Ooh.
I want a tropical island map, dude. Like I know that a lot of people are like, oh man, desert. And I'm like, nope. Give me that tropical island from Try, dude. Oh, imagine them remaking the deserted island. Dude.
That'd be nice.
Like the other day, I was playing GU because I wanted to test out something that I was working on. And I go to GU, and for whatever reason, I went into a quest that went to the deserted island. And I heard that theme right as you get there, and I was like, oh.
The Vista and
it took me right back, dude. It's like, guys,
that would be an awesome map to remake.
There's a reason this is the Third Fleet podcast, okay, guys? There's a lot of nostalgia for Try and 3 Ultimate in here. Man, yeah, that was pretty freaking sweet. So you're all in on the tropical. Like if we get a 5th one, you want a tropical island.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And yeah.
The Monster Hunter team right now is going over their notes and they're like, we fucked up, guys. We put a deserted.
Well, the thing is, like, if there's only 4, those 2 would actually be perfect additions for Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate, a desert in a tropical area, because you can have any variation of element in those maps, and it's okay.
What about that map from 4? Which one was it? Forget the name of it. Something Valley. No, it wasn't the main map from 4. It was like. Crap, I forget. I forget what it is. It's getting
What
too
type?
late. It's the one where you fight Zinogre most of the time. It's got like and Plesioth, where you fight Plesioth in Generations. You know the map I'm talking about?
Misty Peaks from right
Yes!
behind Yukumo.
Misty Peaks. Yeah. That map would be cool. Is that the Yukumo map? I
Yeah.
thought that was 4 for some reason. I thought that was in 4.
No,
Never mind.
it was introduced in Portable Third, and the idea there was that that's the mountain range in which is lower, where Amatsu sort of like got itself situated up way in the mountains, and that
See?
pushed the Zenogres down the mountain because of the storms, and so they came closer to the village and started causing havoc. So you had to be dispatched there to sort of take care of them.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
Misty Peaks would be nice, actually. It would be really nice.
Because then you'd get a Matsu.
Yes, you would. And Narga, Zenogre, they all work really good there. How mu- Oh, I just thought of another monster that we don't know if we're going to get, but it would be interesting, I think. Bull Drum. We should have Bull Drum in the game. I know everyone's going to look at me and be like, are you effing crazy?
Here's the thing. It's like, listen, guys, this is one of those things.
No one likes
like,
them.
No, listen. We already have
Painful
the Bullfangos, so it's like it doesn't even make any difference anymore. The Bullfangos are already there. So having the Bull Drum doesn't even, it's like whatever.
What's funny is when I think about Bull Drum, the thing that actually comes into mind is the Golden Zenogre level 10 quest from Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate.
No idea what you're talking about.
So the final quest against the Deviant for Zenogre, you're stuck in that sort of like tower. You know that tower area where you fight like Silver Rathalos and the Golden Rathian? You fight there on top of the tower. So it's a one area map. So you can't run anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
You're talking about Dread Queen and Dread King, not Silver. Silver and Gold Ian in Generations, you fight them in the arena.
Oh, okay. So yeah, not the arena, but the other one that kind of looks like
I think I know which. I think I know which. It's at the top where you also did a lot of your weapon videos.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's funny you say that because whenever I think of Boldrome, I think of the same thing, except the scenario is with a Hellblade Glavenus, but it's also up there. It's also in the same spot. There's a Hellblade Glavenus and a Boldrome in the same quest, and the worst part is that you. If it's the first time you're doing that quest, you think to yourself, I'm just going to get rid of this Boldrome real quick. And then that motherfucker respawns on you and you're just like, no, what have you done?
Yeah, he's there in I think it's the Zenogre quest, but man, is he a handful. You think you're just going to ignore him, but basically I think the way we did it was like 2 people would split off and handle the Boldrome while the other 2 engaged as Zenogre. It's like, we can't deal with these 2 at the same time.
You did it with 4 players. Nah, dude. I did most of the quests that I did with Deviants have been with either 2 players or sometimes 3. We very rarely had 4. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. But like 2 players was usually enough to deal with like Hellblade and whatnot. I even did some of the Hellblade quests solo, but like solo started being a pain. But basically, it's like if I had patience, I can go in there with Adept SNS. Beat the crap out of Hellblade, but that's probably the only weapon I can deal with.
But mark the day. I think this could actually be a very accurate prediction. January 20th, 2021. I'm going to predict 4 maps for the final Monster Hunter Rise, and Monster Hunter Rise Ultimate will have a dunes and a tropical island added in for a total of 6.
I'm going to predict 5 maps for Rise. 5 maps.
And you think it'll be the tropical?
I'm hoping it'll be the tropical, but I think we're gonna get.
Hey, we can have Kongalala back.
Hey man, I ain't against it. Logi,
give him some blasty farts.
We only have 3 lightning monsters, right? You said. Oh, I want Logi. I want Logi back. Give me Logi. Hell yeah, dude.
I'm really curious if they're gonna have Laggy in the game or not.
Dude, they have to bring. He has to come back.
I still think that would make a killer, like, first DLC monster, like your Cruise. That would be pretty sweet.
Hey, so long as he's in the game, I'll be happy with it. But yeah, so for
Malfestio, that's another one I want back. Malfestio would be cool. The owl.
Don't ever say that again. I'm editing.
But that's
this
a sleep monster. We have too many sleep monsters. So
I'm editing this part of the podcast out. I want to make sure Capcom doesn't listen to
Don't
any
jinx it.
Malfestio, dude. No, is reverse thing. I don't want to deal with that. There's not even an armor skill that nullifies it. I hate it. I hate it so bad.
There is one skill that nullifies it, and it's called Get Good. No, I'm joking.
What? Hey, I'm supposed to be the Souls guy here. What the hell is this? Get good?
I'm just joking, guys.
This straight up shade.
I'm memeing over here. Forgive me.
Yeah, I'm noting it down. You told me to take a note. 20th of January. This was the day when Gaijin crossed me.
But then we're gonna have people in the comments saying he's such a boomer. He didn't even say get good. He said get good. Okay, Dad. Are you winning, son?
This is too good. I don't remember the last time someone told me to get good to my face like that. You just gotta can't deal with Malfestio. Get good, kid.
Yeah, right means left means right. What's hard about it? Well, your brain can't do that. Like,
oh my God. No, it's not. The worst part is not even that. The worst part is that then it ends and it reverses again.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
That's the part that screws me up, right? Because I've got muscle memory because I get hit by the attack so much because I suck. So I got really used to playing with reverse controls. So when that wears off, I end up dying.
It just throws you off again. Yeah, that's the problem. Because like a lot of people might think, well, the problem with that is that it reverses your controls. No, the problem is when they go back to normal. Because after they reverse, you get used to it, and then they go back to normal. That's the problem. But yeah, the final topic that we have is is a couple of the features that you wanted to discuss in regards to World, particularly the randomness of decorations, and how would you want to see that in Rise? So would you rather have decorations be random or charms be random? It's actually, technically speaking, it's not even charms, it's petalaces that we're getting this time around.
Talismans or whatever No, well, we still have talismans as well. Petalaces they're not a replacement.
I think they are.
No, they're not. They're not. You can pre-order in your digital bonuses to get an actual talisman.
Yeah, that talisman is a petalace.
It's not. They're using very specific words in Japanese. This is definitely a charm. It is not a petalace. They're using completely different terminology in Japanese. I don't know about the English, but in Japanese it's very clear.
And in English, they're also using very different terminology. I just suspect that what they consider talismans now are petalaces, but we'll see.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so would you prefer random charms or random decos? Let's go.
I'm super passionate about the subject, so tell me to shut up if I don't shut up. But to me, having it reversed, it used to be that decorations were the items that you created and you crafted.
You're able to craft,
and the charms would be the RNG. And this worked fantastic for a plethora of reasons, because one, charms by default can only have 2 skills on them, right?
Yep.
So you can only get points in 2 different skills, and they're not. So by default, considering your armor and slots for decorations, you could make any set you want conceptually and get 90% way there. You didn't need to have that awesome god charm. You can get 90% of the way there. You can make any concept set that you wanted. You want to have a razor sharp set. You want to have a high infinity set. You want to have a poison tank build. You can do all of it. All you had to do is go and hunt monsters and craft enough decorations and slot it in. Getting that charm would really push you up to the high, next level for the very end game, would allow for some really crazy builds and some funny stuff, but you weren't locked out. Now, when they flipped it, there's a lot of problems that happened, in my opinion. One, the majority of the game, decorations are by far more powerful than the charms in the way that they influence your set. You have armor sets with 10, 15 slots for decorations, right? That's like 15 skill levels versus one charm. So the weight of it is much greater. Not only
Yes.
that is you're no longer going out and hunting monsters for parts unless you want to make their armor or weapon. That's it. Which actually was a huge turnoff for me. Like if you want to have evasion, you go off and you go hunt a Lagambi.
Well,
Because the Lagambi parts would give you evasion, which made sense because the monster's really fast.
but
If you want,
here's
like
the thing.
earplugs, you do a Tigrex.
You're saying you didn't have to hunt monsters like besides their parts, but you did. It's like you had the tempered investigations,
Well,
which would give you random
yeah,
decorations.
but random, and they lost all personality. So like when I was saying, like you have a monster like Lagambi who's really fast and sliding around. That's the monster that gives you the evasion decorations. You want a power decoration, you go use Tigrex parts. And like, so you're getting little parts of the personality of every monster. Let's say you want sleep attack up. You're probably going to have to hunt a Somnicanth. It would make sense, right?
Yeah.
So like you feel like part of your armor is encapsulating the essence of that monster through the skill system of crafting their decoration. So you'd end up hunting stuff that you normally wouldn't hunt. For like example, I needed to make some random decoration for earplugs, level 3 or something. I got to go hunt a Kezu, and I need to get a fine cut or whatever material. Like it makes sense because it's earplugs and it's a monster that screams constantly. And it's maybe I would have never hunted the monster if it wasn't for that, the decoration. So, and I can make the sets without being, I'm not that handicapped. Where like if you just make it RNG, it's like yeah, put in the time, and because RNG is RNG, I never once got a razor sharp or polished decoration. I never got any of those decorations in the world in either of the games. I played it on 3 consoles. I put in like 600, 700 hours on Xbox. I never got one. Still. I only just got my mighty bow in the last week of the game. And that ruins an entire playstyle if you don't have that.
It does.
So it's like
it's
so
like
I really hated passionately the fact that the core of the game and the essence of what made a monster unique was stripped out and given to RNG. And they're just like, oh, well, people are going to sit down and play this for 5 hours a day. So whatever. I hated that. It bothered me.
There was a problem, particularly in World, a little bit less so in Iceborne, because in Iceborne, like you had really good. There were a lot more tier 3 monsters in Iceborne. I don't know if like other games had like the similar tiering system. I don't think they did. It was mostly because of like the rewards that you would get from these tempered investigations, right? But like in World, there were 4 tier 3 monsters, which were the Elder Dragons, and that was it. So it's
Yeah.
like if you were trying to get decos, you would end up just like hunting the 4 Elder Dragons pretty
But
much.
you know what this reminds me of? This is the exact same problem I had with Monster Hunter for Ultimate, which to me is a damn near perfect game. The thing I didn't personally like about the game was that the guild weapon system. I never used the guild weapons. I never touched them. I would be happy hunting at 30% less power than other hunters because I didn't want to touch the guild weapons at all. To me, they were just dirty.
They were randomly
why am I
generated,
hunting-
weren't they?
Yeah, so like I'm hunting, like you said, like there's 3 monsters. Like I'm hunting a Rajan constantly or a Shagaru.
Oh God.
Level 100 quest over and over and over again so I can get what? A really strong Rathian weapon? Like that makes no sense to me. Like why am I hunting a thunder monster for an awesome blast weapon? I'm like that's stupid. So when I got it, I'm like I have no memory of this. There's no connection to the monster I was hunting. It was just I got random drop. Lucky me. Like EA would be proud. Like why am I looting for a weapon which is supposed to be imbued with personality and it's not. So a talisman that's just relegated.
That was the thing that was a huge problem for me, both in World and Iceborne, was the Kulf Taroth stuff. I hate it. Like I just told you, like I farmed the crap out of it in the first 2 weeks that it came out. It's not because I liked the idea of farming for it. It's because I wanted to have the Wide 4 to try out the Wide Shelling playstyle, because otherwise I'd have to use Wide 3 and the damage was a lot less. So it's like the idea of hunting down this one monster, because it was just one monster over and over and over. And then you would get
for a
like
random ass drop.
Yeah, for a random drop. It was terrible. And like I have a friend of mine, Wada, who would only play Charge Blade. And the best Ice Charge Blade was Kulf Taroth's. So you had to farm Kulf Taroth if you wanted to have a charge. And it's like some people might be like, well, I mean, what was the biggest difference from that to a regular charge blade? And it's interesting when people ask this, because I can say the difference is that the Kulf Taroth charge blade could kill a Diablos in 2 hits. That's the difference. Like 2 SADs would murder a Diablos. Like right now, break both his horns, break like his back. I think it would damn near chop his tail if you weren't careful. It's like 2 SADs on a Diablos, dead. Okay, that's the power level of that particular weapon. That's why people wanted that weapon. That weapon was real powerful.
Yeah,
and so
power creep is an issue.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just, to me, the core concept of Monster Hunter and what got me hooked in this series is that your wearing armor is the trophies of your accomplishments. And that those armors and the monsters, their personality is reflected in all of it, whether it be the parts it's used to make it or the skills that that weapon gives. A fire monster, I get a weapon that has fire properties. I hate the idea that a random ass monster gives me fire attack up, and it had nothing to do with fire. I was just hunting Valhazak, for God's sake. Why am I getting sleep resistance or some shit? Like it makes no sense to me.
Valhazak.
And it just, I'm just randomly saying, like, I'm fighting a random tempered monster.
I was like,
whatever,
I thought Valhazak was a new monster. What are you talking about? Oh no, wait, you mean like you're fighting tempered Valhazak for decos? Okay.
Yeah, for a random drop, and I get something that's completely opposite to its personality, and I'm like that. I don't want to use that because it's meaningless to me.
I agree, and that's always one of the biggest selling points that whenever someone asks me about Monster Hunter, the biggest selling point that I always have to give to people is like, look, here's a game where it's like, you want to get a fire sword, go kill the big fire dragon. And you get the materials, and then you go make the big fire sword. And there you go. Yeah. That's how there's no like, oh, I want to go get this weapon, so I got to go farm this thing for 10 years. No. You go kill the big fire dragon, you get the big fire sword. Boom. That's
like, I don't play Destiny, but that's the type of stuff I hear about Destiny. It's like you're just grinding for some loot.
Yeah.
It's got a place, but not in Monster Hunter. And
it's like Diablo, basically. And I also don't think that all of that RNG really has a place in Monster Hunter, because I've railed against this repeatedly, and even to maybe a lesser extent, I also railed against it in Safi Jiva, because I thought that Safi Jiva was also, it's that same thing, and it's like the tremendous power creep that ends up happening when they do that stuff, which is like, okay, so from now on, the best stuff, Kulf Taroth.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was the same thing that happened like Safi Jiva. From now on, best stuff, Safi Jiva. Then after Safi Jiva was like Raging Braki. From now on, best stuff, Raging Braki. And then after that, it eventually became Fatalis. From now on, best stuff, Fatalis. And it's like a lot of people kind of come from these other games like we were talking about, like Destiny and stuff. I feel like a lot of people came from Destiny into Monster Hunter, and to them that's normal. It's like, hey, it's the last thing that they added.
It's rewarding, yeah. I put in a lot of time, I get some good stuff.
I want the best reward for killing the toughest thing. But it's like Monster Hunter is not just about that. Like even now I can go into GU and make like a new mixed set with like different parts to do different things. Yeah. And it's not necessarily going to involve going to kill the same monster over and over. That's the thing that's magical about it.
Yeah. One other point that I think about craftable decorations is, to me at least, I keep prefacing this because I just don't want people to get all upset about it, but this is a personal opinion. But like, I think it destroyed the community of sharing armors. Like, I constantly seen armor sets and people are like, here's a cheap version, here's a cheap man's version, here's if you have the decos. You could see someone's set and be like, oh, I want to make something similar. Nope, you don't have the decos. You're out. Done.
Yeah.
You could put in 300 hours and still not get those decos. You have no idea when they're going to drop. Yeah. That's stupid in my opinion. I hated that.
It really sucked a lot of times because I did a lot of builds and whatever. Or sets. I did a lot of sets because that's just the thing that I like doing and optimizing and min-maxing and whatnot. And it would always suck like whenever I would bring like a big beefy jewel that I knew not everyone was gonna have. Like, well, for this build you need a shield deco. Oh.
Yeah.
Like I have 2,700 hours in the game and I have 2 shield decos. and I've never had
I never
them
got
drop.
the guard. I never got the guard up deck.
Yeah,
though.
that's guard up, shield, guard up. It's
I never got it.
Crazy. Like magazine
So, like,
deco took me forever. So I would walk
man.
around with like if I remember correctly, it was Dorogama's legs all the time to have capacity. So like I would have like a full set of like really good armor and then Dorogama's legs. Like I was like, what the hell, dude?
So like people will say, well, technically it's the same thing with charms. Because if you didn't have the charm, you couldn't make the exact set. I'm like, yeah, you can't make the exact set, but because you can get 90% of the way there, you can, okay, I can have, my guard 2, my guard up, and maybe instead of attack up medium, I had attack up small,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's
gonna
bring
bring up like critical eye instead of critical eye 2, you'd have critical eye 1, but you'd still have it's also very different because of just like most skills in the older games would be like tops like 3 tiers most of the times, right? And that is like 3 tiers. You're talking like attack up probably, because most skills would actually be like 2 tiers. So it's like instead of having 2 tiers in the skill, having 1 is not as big of a deal as like in World, like oh, you can't get attack up 4. I guess you're screwed. Like it looks like you're missing out on 5% affinity, buddy. It's like it's a much bigger deal. At least it felt like a much bigger deal in World, but yeah.
I think World had some really good ideas, and I will admit that the old armor system was complex and having plus 10 points, and that's not the way to do it for the mass. I get that, and I would agree, but I think they made it too much like Monster Hunter Frontier, where you can have like 20 freaking skills on a set when if they just restricted it to like 4 or 5, then every choice would be very meaningful, and you would play around and you would start augmenting things that are good for your playstyle. That would feel good to me.
Yeah, because like right now, basically most of like the end game sets that you would tend to see by the end of Worlds, like even before Fatalis, which Fatalis armor completely broke the game, like we talk about. Even though I know that there's a lot of people out there that hate me saying that, I'm sorry, it's the truth, and I'll keep saying it. But even though Fatalis armor essentially broke the game, even before Fatalis, basically you'd look at endgame sets and it'd be like max critical eye, max weakness exploit, and max critical boost. These would be like the 3 skills that you would have on like 90% or so of the sets. And then on top of that, you try to maybe squeeze in agitator depending on how much affinity your weapon had, or if your weapon had a ton of affinity, you would get like attack up, or if you were trying to speed run, you'd get peak performance. But basically it's like, when you look at it, it's basically like damage, all the damage. And it's like, because you could afford it, because you could have so many friggin' skills. Whereas like when you look at, for instance, an end game set of GU, and like one of mine, for instance, the Alchemy Gunland set that I keep talking about, had like guard 1, composed, favor, artillery expert, and I think that's it. It's like that's what you get, because I wanted to get these eccentric skills, but that ultimately ends up limiting you a lot, and
a lot.
It is what it is.
That's where like the end game monsters, when they had those combined skills like Hone Blade, like they were a big deal, because you'd have like 2 skills that you normally can't pair together, or would be very hard to pair together, all of a sudden possible. It was like, but you would be sacrificing a lot of slots. You wouldn't be able to do other stuff. So it was a balance game, and I really liked it. But I think at the crux of it, though, craftable decorations is a must for me. If they don't do that again, I'm going to be very vocally like a child crying and bitching in a shopping store. I'm going to be upset, because it's such an important part of what got me hooked in the series, and I did not like what they did to it in the last game. So,
dude,
we'll see.
You got me thinking about the time that me and a friend, we made the Black Diablo. Is it Black Diablos? No, Bloodbath Diablos set. We made his full set, like the negative critical set, and then we went and we hunted the chaotic. Was it chaotic Shigar or chaotic Gore? I think it's chaotic Gore Magala, because his weapon had a ton of negative affinity. And so it's like we had the Diablo set with negative crit with a weapon that had a ton of negative affinity. And it's like, let's go. The problem was that weapon would suck if you fought Gore Magala, because the the corruption would actually
Yeah.
give you positive affinity. And it's like, I don't want it.
I don't want it.
I don't want positive affinity. I want negative. But see, that's the thing. Like, you had all of these different sets that you could do because your skill choice was so limited. So you would always be swapping stuff around. And I know that most people would just say, we just used Josiana. Everybody was using John Cena over here. And it's like, yeah, I guess a lot of sets did use John Cena as well in there, but you know, not everybody.
And I think templates are fine. I mean, I think templates are a good place for people to start who don't want to get into it. But the fact is that you didn't have to use that set. Like, there was lots of other really fun options out there.
Yeah.
So, and just core skills, right? You can't take a core skill like guard and guard up and like relegate it to RNG. That is just dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll say
guard up.
The dumb is a bad feedback because it's childish, but it was dumb.
It was like there were some core skills that were really problematic, like magazine, guard up, protective polish. There were a lot of skills like that where simply the decos did not drop, and I know people that were playing like for hours and hours and hours on end, and it did not drop. And then it was weird because then for some other people it would drop all the time. Like, I remember when I started playing on PC, like I went to talk to Tuner, who's from Jinjinx and Tuna, and I was just like, oh, dude, I can't get a shield deco to drop for me. And he would show me like his chest, and he had like
Bing.
5 of them. 5 of them. And I was just like, dude, what the hell? It's like...
I mean, people have to understand if RNG is brutal. Like, Yuna and I are playing a game, and we had a thing where there's only a 0.5%. There was a 0.5% drop rate for this one item in the stage on this mobile game we're playing, and they had a campaign where it was like double up, so it was 1% chance. So we farmed the living shit out of this quest, and we did it over 1,000 times. I had 4, she had none.
See, this
1,000 times, she never got it.
This is one of the things that I've actually discussed a lot, and this is like the final feature that I want to discuss. I don't know if you have any other features that you want to talk about, but like, this is a feature that I've kind of championed for, and it's like I'm 99% sure that they're never going to implement it. But my idea was player trading. But hear me out. Not just like you go into the hub and it's like, oh, here you go. No. The way that it would work is like I go on a hunt.
I need honey.
No. I go on a hunt with you. Right? We both go on a hunt. We kill a monster. And let's say that, for instance, because this is something that happened to me a ton of times, you need to farm a gem. I don't. You do. So we both go and we both hunt the monster. Our sole objective is to get you that gem so that you can make the weapon that you want to make. That's our sole objective. And so we go and we do the hunt. I get 3 gems. You get nothing. I'm saying in that screen, in the reward screen, what if I was able to give you an item? Only in the reward screen. Never in the village itself. Only in the reward screen. If you're, with a team of players and you guys want to trade stuff at the end of a hunt, at the end of a hunt that everyone participated in, and you're able to trade, like, a couple of items here and there. I think that would actually be cool because there are plenty of times where I've had friends helping me get something I wanted, and they would get it repeatedly over and over. This is both on World and in GU. They would get it over and over, and I wouldn't get it, right? And other times it was the other way around. I would go and help them, and I would get the item they wanted, and they wouldn't get it. Now, I understand that it's like, okay, that means players will play less time, but at the same time, it's not like, I don't think that's a big deal for Monster Hunter because it's not an MMO. It doesn't need the engagement metrics that a lot of these MMOs need. I don't think it's such
I have a similar idea. I like the idea. I think I have a similar one. That one I think can be tricky only for the fact that there are probably ways to abuse it. And you're also quadrupling your odds. So I think the odds are going way, it pushes it way too favorably.
If you go with 4 players, yes, you're quadrupling.
Yeah, and it punishes those who play solo because they have 4 times less chance of getting an item. What I think would be nice,
good point,
would be a trading system. Imagine if there was a Wyverian trader in which I can give, 5 of this item, like the point system they had when you upgraded your armor or something in like GU, where I can give so many Rathian parts and they will give me a Rathian wing in return. Like I can give 10 of this and they'll give me 1 of that. If there was a trade system, then it would still encourage grinding because eventually you'd get enough points to get the item that you needed, but you would eventually get the item that you need. Let's say you wanted to get a plate, maybe it costs 100 points. So 100, 1 wing from Arathian is worth 5 points. This is worth 3. That's worth 1. And 100 points. And
so like the Wyverian ticket that we had in World. We had like these Wyverian tickets if you did like your daily, weekly even.
Yeah, similar, but I would want those to be the materials that you get when you hunt. So it rewards you for the grind. That eventually you'll get enough materials anyways, you'll trade them for what you need. So you're essentially trading with other players, but you're given something in return.
I mean, you're not trading with other players, you're trading with an NPC, I would assume, right?
With an NPC, yeah. So let's say you just need 1 scale. What if you can give 5 shells and get 1 scale in return?
Yeah.
It's a black market, so it kind of sucks that the rate's like that. But hey, the more I play, I'm going to get something. I'm going to either get what I want, or I'm going to be able to give up the excess of something that I don't have and get that in return. I think that might be a solution.
That might actually be a better system. I mean, of course, the rates would have to be adjusted. Like, I still want the gems to be hard to get. So, like, say,
I think it'd be total black market.
Yeah. Like, you need to get like a ridiculous amount. But like, let's say you get it up to a point where it's like, look, if you've hunted 20 Rathalos and you didn't get a ruby,
you get.
Then you have enough materials to get your ruby.
Yeah.
20 might
it's
be
essentially
a little bit
bad luck production almost, right? But the fact that you have to give something up, I think creates that balance, because we all know you're like, I don't need these damn scales. And then the second you move forward, you figure out there's like a decoration or something that needs those scales. And you're
then you have to go back and, have to do it again.
And you go back and hunt
that's actually even better, because
I love that.
I didn't think about the situation with solo players, and it is unfair for them. And I can see the point of view of someone that, because I actually get a lot of comments about this, about how some people, they can't afford to pay for PlayStation Plus, or they can't afford to play for Nintendo Online. And it's like, I understand. And I think it already sucks that they get excluded of some of like the Siege events and stuff. So I think that already sucks. If then on top of it, they would have to deal with like, oh, these fucking players are getting all this bullshit because they're playing in multiplayer and they're just trading everything. Yet, you know what? That actually puts a big dent in my ideas. So I actually do agree the trading system would be better if you'd be able to just like, after a certain number of hunts, you'd be able to just get enough materials to get your thing. You still sacrifice some materials, so eventually you might still have to go back to get more stuff, but you eventually get the thing that you need. Which
that's what I liked. It wasn't the same objective or anything, but I really enjoyed in GU was when you're upgrading, let's say, a Rathalos armor. When you upgraded it, it said, "Look, I just want 20 points of Rathalos parts. It could be anything." And so you had a way to use your excess parts. You'd of course use ones that you didn't know that you'd want later.
Yeah.
But you had a path to get there. It wasn't like, "I'm sorry, honey, to upgrade this, you need 5 wings," and then you hunt and you never get the 5th wing.
That was actually a really good system in GU. I guess I never paid that much attention to it, but yeah, the way in which it would just ask you for points instead of specific parts was actually really.
Yeah, and if you got like 2 plates and you didn't want the other one, that's 10 points. Like that was awesome. It was a great boon.
I would usually spend like the stuff that I had the most of first. That's always what I was like. I got 20 of these. I got like 5 of those. Okay, we don't want to spend the 5 one. We want to keep those because we might need it. So let's spend like 10 of the one that I have 20 of, and then I'm gonna get 1 out of that 3 one. It's like I would always be doing like these mental gymnastics of like, okay, I want to make sure that I keep as much as I possibly can and spend as least as I possibly can.
My last run of Generations Ultimate was super easy because I only played Prowler. I did it all the way through the end of G rank solo.
So it was just like,
it's just like, I don't care what I get. I'm just going to sell it.
Yeah, it's just like
the thing that I didn't want, you couldn't scrap some of the super rare items. So I would dread getting a rare drop because I didn't want it because I couldn't trade it. And so the game decided to start showering me with them. So I'm
my God,
literally drowning in like rare drops. And I'm like, I can't use that.
Oh, man.
So that was funny.
Scrap
system's
crazy.
back. I'm very happy about that. Some people seem mixed on the scrap system. I love it. I love the idea that you can just take a material you don't need and you can trade it for scraps. Or if you craft something, you get some free scraps.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that is very good.
Because we're going to want to deck out both companions. I mean, if you think about it, if you want to go crazy like me with I'm going to do 2 cats. I'm going to make sets for 2 cats, and I'm going to make a set for maybe both dogs. I'm going to want like 5 sets for each monster. One for me, one for my 2 dogs, and one for my 2 cats.
I definitely want a Palamute unless they nerf the ability to be able to sharpen in combat, because like that was not sharpen, mount in combat, because that was like even just the other day some people saw me do that on my stream. Wait, what? You're doing what? And I'm like, yep, I'm just gonna mount this Palamute and I'm gonna go sharpen my weapon, and there's nothing the monster can do about it. I mean, it can try to shoot me, but this Palamute's pretty fast, so yep.
You know, I stopped using dogs in the demo, actually.
Yeah, I know.
I purposely don't use the Palamute because I'm trying to get used to it, because I'm going to be representing the Palico. So I got to get really good at the Wirebug.
I don't know, dude. If those Palicos got something like the Mulatov cocktail, I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
There's going to be, remember, there's 6 support types they're going to have. That's one thing I can't wait to hear about that they have not talked about. There's 6 different types that you can set a cat to. So you know there's going to be a bomb cat, you know there's going to be a trap cat and a heal cat and all these other things.
Bomb cats are so good. Did you see that video that I posted the other day on Twitter where I was like recording a video and there's a random feline came out of nowhere, threw a bomb at me? Just like literally out of nowhere from outside the camera, boom! And I was like, "What the hell, dude? I'm recording a video over here." And then he friggin' picks up an even bigger bomb and just runs into my Palamute and explodes. And I was just like, "What the hell? That looked personal. Like, I'm sorry. What was that?" It was so crazy.
I love the cats.
They're pretty cool.
So everybody will be all hyping about the doggies. I love the doggies as well, but God, I love Palicos so much.
Palicos are pretty sweet.
How can I not?
But
I wonder how crazy it will get if you have like 2 heal cats at like high levels going crazy. That would be really funny.
Jesus, you'd be like immortal. Well, actually no, because like they only send out the bubbles, so you still have to burst the bubbles.
Yeah.
So the monster can still
go into the arena, hit the Felvine, get them both really riled up, get in there.
I've barely used the bubbles all over. I've barely used the
it's great
at all. I know it's great. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, holy crap, this thing buffs you and stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah, those cats go crazy.
Oh man. But
yeah, that's the last major feature I think that's been on my mind constantly over the last few years that I'm passionate for them to fix.
And with that, we are probably going to be ending this episode of the Third Fleet podcast, 7th episode. Man, there was a lot more discussion than I initially expected when I made the topics list.
Get sidetracked all over the place. It's like people are like, why don't you put timestamps for the topics you guys are talking about? Because, I'm like, it changes every other minute.
Exactly.
Jumping around.
We keep jumping
around. I'm probably the culprit, but 45 seconds. New topic.
Here's the thing though, guys. I want to bring this to you. If you really want timestamps, if you want to do them, I will put them in the video after you've done them. How about that? Does that sound fair? If that sounds fair, like if you guys just write in a comment with the timestamps if you want for all the podcasts. By the way, you can go back and do it for all of them. Like
you know what? They're going to be someone's going to troll us. They're going to be like, 0609 Gaijin starts crying about this.
Yeah, but I can read it. Like I can read it and I can check.
Or 1 hour, 21 seconds. Get good.
That's the only timestamp that matters. No, but like
Adam becomes rude.
In all seriousness, guys, just like the editing and all of the stuff that we do on top of it with and all of the content that I still have to do, is just like doing timestamps on top of that is just a little bit too much. But if someone wants to volunteer,
super appreciative, yeah.
Yeah, but if someone wants to volunteer, I will put it in the description. Okay, if someone volunteers, because I read every comment that goes into every video, and I will put it in the description. And if you guys want to leave us feedback and like suggestions for topics, the best way to do it is to put it on the latest episode on YouTube in the comment section of the latest episode of the Third Fleet podcast, because we do read those. We do check those out all the time, and I try to bring those up. I probably didn't bring up as many as I wanted to this time around because I kind of got distracted this week because we had to play Monster Hunter Rise a ton.
I know, right? We only got so much time left with the demo.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, we're gonna be calling it. Guys, you can find Gaijin Hunter at youtube.com/Gaijin Hunter. There's links in the description. You can find me at youtube.com/Rurikhan in case you're watching this in case you're listening to this in one of the multitude of podcast services we're at. If you want to listen in a podcast service and you're watching on YouTube, you can go to anchor.fm/thirdfleet. That gives you like links to all the places where you can download our podcast. That is pretty much it. Thank you all very much for watching. See you guys on the next one. To you, sir.
And happy. I got to end it the same way every time. Happy hunting.
Here we go.